you. Thank you very much. Thank you. What a crowd. Well, I want to thank everybody. There has never been spirit. You know, we did great, as you know, in 2016. We did much better in 2020. Bad things happened there. But there's never been spirit like we have for this one. Something's going on that's very special. And I want to say hello, Pennsylvania. I'm thrilled to be back in this beautiful Commonwealth with thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. Before we begin, I'd like to send my love and prayers to the families of those who have died, a lot of death, and all of those who are displaced and suffering in the wake of the hurricane's destruction in the South, especially in Florida, Georgia, Alabama, Tennessee, and in particular, Western North Carolina took a tremendous hit. It's been absolutely devastated, and God be with you all. It's been a rough one. That was a big monster hurricane, and hit a lot harder than anyone even thought possible. So we want to just extend our best wishes to everybody, right? And Joe Biden is in Delaware sleeping right now in one of his many estates. One of his many estates. How did he get so many houses? He never was anything. He was a politician, made $151. What the hell was it all about? And that's why Lion Kamala Harris in San Francisco, a city that she is totally destroyed. That's where she is right now at a fundraiser. I don't know why fundraiser. They sent her. They get so much money. You know who give? A lot of people send money. I won't tell you who, but people that you would not like very much. I could give you the names. I think I will release the names. But if I do that, they'll say that I'm a threat to democracy. He's a threat. You wouldn't like the names. But they raise a lot of money from bad people. Fundraising events with their radical left lunatic donors. When big parts of our country have been devastated by that massive hurricane and is underwater with many, many people dead, she ought to be here. She ought to be down in the area where she should be. That's what she's getting paid for, right? That's what she's getting paid for. So he's at home sleeping in one of his many estates, and she's in San Francisco, which she destroyed, trying to raise more money. She ought to get out and do more interviews. That's what she ought to do, right? And I'm here in Erie, Pennsylvania with the workers who used to be Democrats. But now they're all Trump Republicans because they know that Trump is going to take them to the promised land. We will. And we will. And by the way, so that, you know, our polls are doing great. You saw that. If we win Pennsylvania, we win. But, you know, honestly, we're doing good everywhere. But we were at the Alabama-Georgia game yesterday. Did you see it? So, just to show, because this is a poll too, right? And I walked in. It must be my looks. Because the place went stone cold crazy. Where is it? Put it up. Put it up. We got to put it up. Great game. And that was a great game. Alabama got off to a really big start. You would have said it was over, and then Georgia came back. What a great game that was. Great great players, a lot of future NFL players in that group, but it was really great. But the level of love and enthusiasm, and, you know, Tim Walsh, you know who he is, right? I won't say which, but he went to a game, they booed him out of the place. He wanted to go home early. He wanted to get out of there. That was not good. It was not a good environment. But this is a poll. I mean, that's a poll. It's all a poll. You know, you have thousands of people outside. We were in Wisconsin yesterday, and except for the fact that the administration would not let us have we had 50,000, maybe more people, and we were going to do an outdoor rally, and we ended up having to do it inside in front of about 1,000 people. But we had 50,000 people that showed up, but they didn't want me to be outside. They said they couldn't get us enough people because they were guarding the United Nations and Iran. The president of Iran is here. But Iran is threatening my life, and they're guarding the president of Iran. And Biden doesn't say anything. I'd say so. If that were me, and I don't care who the opponent was, I'd be letting him know, you better not touch, you better not do anything. But, you know, they're guarding Iran, and we had 50,000 people. It was the most incredible scene. Wisconsin, I think we're going to do great in Wisconsin. But Rasmussen just came out with a big poll. We're leading. And we have a couple of them where we're leading virtually in every swing state because people are tired of her act. We're going to say some tough things today. People are tired of her act, her lying. She's a liar, and they're tired of it. I think they would have been better off keeping Sleepy Joe. You want to know the truth? I do. Early voting is beginning and get underway. It's all underway right now in Pennsylvania, and Erie County is starting in the coming days. You know, Erie County was known as a Democrat area until Trump came along. And then they said, what the hell? Right, David? They said, what the hell happened to Erie County? Well, we love you. We're the same people. You, me, we're the same. We need each and every one of you to make a plan to vote early and vote absentee, do whatever you want. The main thing is you got to get out and you got to vote. I really believe that if you look at this date and look at what's happening to our country, I think November 5th will be the most important day potentially in the history of our country because our country is going bad. It's going bad. We have stupid people running it. We also need you to find as many other new voters as you can, so go get them. We have some voters that are for us, but they never voted. And they're going to want to vote. Just a little bit prodding. They'll come out and they'll vote. Our entire nation is counting on the people of the Commonwealth. And I know you will not let us down. You're not going to let us down. We're going to have a tremendous vote. We're leading by a lot in Pennsylvania. We'll never frack, never frack. There will be no petroleum product. We're going to go to wind. Everything's going to be wind. Wind. Even if it's not windy, then we'll suffer for a couple of days. Well, about 90% of the year. We're going to wind. We're going to lots of different things. They haven't worked anywhere else in the world, but we're going anywhere. No, there's no way she fracks her whole life. So she has 15 policies, and over the last year and a half, every single one of them, she changed to the exact opposite. Like taking prisoners and giving them sex change operation. She's totally in favor. That's what she wants to do. That's one of the more men playing in women's sports. Who would want that? Who would want that? Frankly, the worst of all, and to me the most ridiculous, or almost most ridiculous, open borders. Let everyone come into our country and destroy it. But if we win in Pennsylvania, we will win the whole thing. We're going to win, and we're going to turn our country around. We're going to turn our country around, right? David, we're going to turn our country around. We're going to turn around fast. Thank you. And vote for that man right there. He's a great man, David McCormick, Senator. Bob Casey. Bob Casey does nothing. He doesn't do. I was there 4 years. I don't know if I ever met the guy. He just votes along whoever's, you know, on the radical left. He votes. It's not your guy. You know, he's been there a long time. His father was there. He was there. You got to get somebody that's got energy. He's a low-energy person. Remember the last time I said that? That family has never spoken to me again. 37 days from now, we're going to win this Commonwealth. We're going to defeat Lion Kamala Harris, and we will make America great again. We will do that. And this is the most important election. I think it's going to be the most important election of them all. I mean, they had some pretty good ones, right? A long time ago, they had some pretty good ones, but this is, you know, I thought that 2016 was the most, and I'd say that. This is the most important because the border was bad, and then we fixed it 100%. It was so good, and then these guys took over and they destroyed it quickly. They got rid of little things like Remain in Mexico, you know, things like not easy to get, Remain. When I told the president of Mexico, you know, everybody's staying in Mexico. No, we wouldn't do that. I said, yes, you will. Because if you don't, we're going to tariff your cars at 150%, and that's going to be the end of that. Sir, we'd love to do that. We'd love to keep everybody in. We had hundreds of thousands of people. Tijuana was probably the fastest growing place on the planet. You ended up with like 500,000 people there, from a little town where you get a nice little drink to 500,000 people. They couldn't get into the country. They wouldn't come in. Mexico was great, but I used tariffs in order to get that, but it was very important. As soon as they came in, they let the people just pour in. It is so sad, and we're going to discuss that. If Kamala Harris gets 4 more years, America as we know it will absolutely be destroyed. You'll have not 21 or 25, whatever it may be. Nobody has any idea. They have no idea. They have no idea. You know, they like to say 12, 14, 13. It's 21. It's probably could be 31, could be a lot more than that. They have no idea. They're pouring in. Kamala is openly acknowledged to be the worst vice president in history, and as president, she would be much worse than that. She would be a disaster. I mean, they asked her, did anybody see the Oprah interview? Oprah wanted to climb under the table. She couldn't. The whole thing is crazy. 2 days ago, for the first time ever, the Patriots of ICE released. This is the first time ever where they released murder numbers and rape numbers and human trafficking numbers. They never do that. They talk about overall, nice and gently. But somebody felt that these numbers should be released, and they came out actually just as she got to the border. It's very interesting. This was a little tough because she gets up and she goes, well, I didn't really get involved too much with the border, but I'm going to now get involved. Why didn't she do it almost 4 years ago? Why didn't she do it? Because she can't do it. She can't do it. Number one, she doesn't have the capability. Number two, her base will not let her do it for whatever reason that is. You have to explain that. But new data came out, and the massive number of savage criminal aliens that Kamala Harris has allowed to invade our country. This is an invasion, and these people are mean, tough. She had a total, listen to this, these numbers just came out. Nobody thought, and I've been saying it for a long time because we are the party of common sense. I knew that once they had open borders, all of the countries, I didn't think about all over the world. I thought in South America, it's all over the world. Last week, a lot of people came in from the Congo, a big prison in the Congo in Africa. Welcome to the United States. They came in from the Congo. They come in from South America. They come in from Asia. They come in from all over the world. They come in from all over the world. The Middle East, you got to see, from Yemen, they're coming in. We have more terrorists come into our country in the last 2.5 years than we've ever seen. You know, I had one year where Border Patrol said no terrorists came in. I had another year where they said 11 came in. Thousands of terrorists are pouring into our country now. Thousands. And they're coming into our cities and our small towns here in Pennsylvania and all over the country. These towns are petrified. Even if they're not there yet, they will be there because you have millions of people we're dealing with. No country, this is not sustainable by any country in total. Listen to these numbers, though. These are the official numbers. These are certified numbers. Can you believe it? This isn't her with her bullshit. In total, she's a liar. In total, during her term, no, it's not even believable, she let in 13,099 convicted murderers. Some of them had murdered 10 people. Some murdered 7. One murdered 6. I'm looking at these. These are stone-cold killers. And they let in people that are worse than any criminal we have. The only thing nice about it is they make our criminals look extremely soft and nice. And remember these people, remember her and Sleepy Joe saying, no, the people that we bring in, they don't create crime. I'm saying, are they kidding? I'm going to show you a video that I have that you're going to see in a couple of seconds. It's brutal. It's brutal. One guy talking to a judge, I will kill you. These are brutal people. These are the people that we don't want. You know, we all have big hearts and all that stuff. She let in 25,272 illegal aliens convicted of rape and other sex crimes, viciously raping, and 62,231 criminal aliens convicted of violent assault, where people are just about dead, but they didn't die, but we took them in too. In total, she let in, listen to these numbers, 647,572 migrant criminals of the worst order. They call them of the worst order. I wonder what that means. Charged with or convicted with heinous crimes, including child predators, drug dealers, vicious gang members, sadist thugs, and people that deal in women, people that they take women and they sell women and they bring them across the border, mostly women, children also, but mostly women. And they're all living in our country right now. And we've had many killings. Rachel Morin, so many people have died, but wait till you see what's going to happen. Oh, and if I don't get in, it's going to be the worst thing that this country has ever suffered, because they won't do a damn thing about it. And the number of 21 or 25 or whatever million it is, you'll have 150, 200 million coming. You will have, this country will no longer be recognizable. It's already close to that, and we're going to get it taken care of. And I just say this. To all rapists, drug dealers, human traffickers, and murderers, welcome to America. It is important that you send a thank you note to Lion Kamala Harris, because without her, you would not be here. But we don't want you here, and you're going to get the hell out very soon. We're getting you out. When just one convicted murderer escapes from prison in real life, right? We have one person will escape who's not nearly as bad as the people we're letting in. He's like a perfect person compared to the people we're letting in. You'll see that in a second. But if somebody escapes, we have a massive manhunt, and we look all over the place, and we got everything in the world. And we have 13,099 that just came in. We have massive manhunts. It's all over the place, and they capture them. But now we have 13,099. That's just the murderers. And over 600,000 highest, they call them highest level criminals in our country. Kamala let in the 13,099 convicted murderers and opposes all efforts to find them and to remove them. She opposes all these efforts because, look, she's a communist, you know that. I used to say Marxist, but unfortunately nobody knows what that is. Most people said, what's a Marxist? Is that a good thing or a bad? I said, I have to use the word communist, okay? Do you mind? Does anybody mind? It's close. And by the way, they're close enough. Remember, I used to say, our country will never be a socialist country. And I turned out to be right. They skipped socialism. They went right down to communism. So I was right. See, because I'm right about everything, right? Trump is right about everything. Trump is right about everything. They skip socialism. Normally they go from socialism to communism. No, they skip socialism. Kamala Harris can never be forgiven for erasing our border, and she must never be allowed to become president of the United States. She'll destroy. She's a radical left lunatic. And one of the reasons I'm angry, yesterday she made a speech like everything on the border is good, and she's going to fix the border. Did you see that crazy speech? And I'm going to fix the border because I was a prosecutor. You know who she prosecuted? Mostly her political opponents like me. They said, but how am I doing? I'm doing pretty good, right? She actually had a terrible record as a prosecutor. And you know who she went after more than anybody? African Americans. They hate her. They hate her. And she destroyed San Francisco. But what she's done is a total disqualifier. She should be disqualified. She should resign the vice presidency and go home to California, which she is by, you know, she's really destroyed it. But she should go home in disgrace. What Kamala has done with illegal migrants is the biggest crime story of our time, because hundreds of thousands of people are going to be victims very shortly. It's happening. We had many of them yesterday. We had this incredible event. We had many of the parents of victims at the event. We had one or two that spoke. It's impossible almost for them. Their lives are destroyed, just so you understand. Their daughters were killed. Their lives are destroyed. Their sons are killed. And they were killed by migrants that came in illegally that were so vicious, like you've never seen before. Already hundreds of people have been murdered because of her action at the border, and thousands more will follow in rapid succession. She should be impeached and prosecuted for her actions. And these killers are stone-cold monsters and have so little heart. They have no heart. They really have no heart. Worse than anything you can see on television. You know, you look at the mob pictures, the gangster pictures, the drug dealer pictures. These people are far worse. There's nobody in Hollywood like this. You can't get people like this. You'll see that in a second. And they don't care when or who they kill. They wake up the following morning, they don't even remember. So it's just like a routine part of life. And they're in our country now. They don't even think about it. These are rough, vicious, rougher than anything you can imagine. There is no, and I say it all the time, if you wanted to do a movie on some of these people that you're going to be looking at in 2 minutes, if you wanted to do a movie, there's no actor in Hollywood that could play the role. There's nobody that could do it. These actors, you know, they're a little bit shaky. They can't play the role. They'll bring in a big actor and you look, you say, oh, he's got no muscle content. He's got no muscle. We need a little muscle. Then they bring in another one, but he's got a weak face. He looks weak. No, these guys have the whole package, unfortunately for our country. I watched one of them shouting at a judge, I kill you. I kill you when I get out. I kill you. And, you know, the judge is like, oh, he's never heard this stuff. And even the guards, you know, they want to look for a new job themselves. I kill you. But it's all because Kamala let these people in. Let's take a look at this. You'll find it very interesting.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please step out of the hallway.
They're fucking dead. Don't fucking break it. I'll break out soon and I'll kill more. See, the only thing if I can regret is if I can just kill two. I wish if I can kill more of those motherfuckers. I'll kill more cops soon.
He says he wants to apply for pardon for the felony he committed. Attempt of murder.
Central casting, Mr. Wall. Stand up, Mr. Wall. I love this guy's outfit. I gotta buy. Are they for sale? I want to buy one. You know, I built hundreds of miles of wall. I'm going to buy one of those and come out here. I built hundreds of miles of wall and it worked. And I was going to add another 200 miles, and then we had a very disruptive election. Horrible thing happened. Horrible, horrible. Including in this state. We won it in 2016 easily, and then in this state, bad things happened because I love you and you love me. We did so good here. But you know what? I built hundreds of miles of wall, and I'm going to walk onto this platform someday at some place, and I'm going to wear that ugly, horrible suit because it's emblematic. It's emblematic of what we've done, right? It's a great guy. He must have been to 250. Do you have any idea how many you've come to? Hundreds. And he's a very successful guy. You believe it? It's like, you know, they go to football games and they got the name of guy's a top guy in a law firm or a top CPA. But on Sunday or Saturday, goes to football and they have the name of the player in the back. You know, like, I mean, who would do that? But they do that. I wouldn't do that. Just out of pride. I'm not going to do that. We want to keep our own name on our back, right? But he's been a great guy. I'll bet he's gone to 250 rallies. You may have the record, right? We have the people the ladies from North Carolina. We have the front row Joes. Where's the front row Joe? Look at this. Look at these guys. Look at these front row Joes. But we have a great time with a horrible subject. Think how it will be when we fix it. We will really have a great time because we're going to fix it and we're going to fix it. But these people are very much like how the Democrats are and the way they cheat in elections. They have absolutely no shame. These criminals are the way the Democrats are. They have no shame whatsoever. They cheat, and it's almost like routine for them. It doesn't bother them at all. Kamala Harris lies about everything, and that's why they call her Lion Kamala, L-Y-I-N apostrophe, Lion. Lion. She's a liar. She lies about everything. She makes up stories about me. But yesterday, really, she said I ripped babies out of a crib. Donald Trump I ripped babies. I said, where did she get that one? Every day it's a new story. Now, if I'm a person, you know, that's not really into, like, knowing who Trump is, I would say he's a terrible guy. You know, he rips babies out of a crib. Remember when they blamed me for building cages to put kids in? And then somebody from Border Patrol said, I'm sorry, that was 2 years before President Trump came into office. That was done by Barack Hussein Obama, right? That was Barack Hussein Obama. Remember that? I went through 2 weeks of hell, and then finally somebody spoke up and said, I never built those things, and then it was Obama that built them. So it took a little time. Did I get an apology from the fake news? Oh, that's a lot of fake news. Did I get an apology from the fake news? No. Did I get an apology from 60 Minutes when I said that the laptop from hell had nothing to do with Russia? It was done by Hunter. Did I get an apology from 60 Minutes? No. Remember that? She was fighting me. This was from Russia. I said, this was not from Russia. I won't tell you what the pictures were. They were not good. They never got into the real pictures, did they? If it was me, they would have gotten into the real pictures real fast. They didn't get into those pictures. She makes up stories about everything, including herself. Like, you know, it's so nice. I always get criticized because they agree that I'm true, but why would I bring it up so much? Because it's so simple. It's not a horrible plot. It's not a complex thing that people get bored with, Uncle Sam. It's just basic. She said she worked so hard. She sweated over French fries at McDonald's, and she never worked there. It turned out to be a lie. And the fake news doesn't want to talk about it. Although I heard a major newspaper is doing a big story on it, it's a lie. It's a total lie. She never worked at McDonald's, but she lies about everything. And we can't let her get into office, and that's why I'm a little bit rougher than I would normally be. You know, we started off with crooked Joe Biden, and they kept him in the basement. They got lucky because of the horrible COVID situation. We did an amazing job with COVID. I got credit for the economy. I got credit for the military. We took out ISIS. We rebuilt them. I got a lot of credit. Space Force. Never got credit. And what we did was amazing. Nobody knew what it was. What we did was amazing. With all of the things that we did were amazing, actually. But you know, when he came in, and then he comes along and he stops, and all of a sudden you realize, and now we got him as a president, and the wall stopped, and everything stopped, and people started coming in. Oh, is my favorite of all time, my favorite graph, in fact, my favorite document of all time, and I have some good ones. There is never a document like this. Do you have? They don't even know I'm going to be asking for this. This reminds me, oh, they're unbelievable. No, they didn't even know. That's my favorite document. That document saved my life. Immigration saved my life. Without that document, I would not be here. Without that document, I wouldn't be talking to you. Without that document, we're not here. Because that document's always on my left. It's always on my left. It's always at the end of the speech, not the beginning. And I had it on my right, because I don't use a teleprompter that much, you know, just pieces. By the way, I said this the other day. Isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need to use a teleprompter? Isn't it, Uncle Sam? Isn't that nice? Isn't it really nice? But they do keep you out of a lot of trouble. You know, you just read the line. Like I was watching her the other day. Bah, 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 bah. Keeps you out of trouble because she can't answer a question. So this document turned out at the beginning. Think of that. What are the chances that it's at the beginning? I never did it at the beginning. Right at the beginning, and it's on my right instead of my left. And I was looking just at the right angle. Ping. I love that document. I sleep with that document every night. I kiss that document. I love that document. But what the document says, now that we get back to order, what the document says is that was the lowest point. The arrow on the bottom. That was the lowest point of illegal immigration in the history of our country. It's the lowest point that we've ever had. We had it going good. That included drugs, and that included trafficking of women and trafficking of children. We had it going, and all they had to do is leave it. And they came in and they terminated everything. Sanctions, they terminated remain in Mexico. They terminated every single thing. And they ended up with, look what happened. It was like a rocket ship, what's gone on. And then we found out on top of everything, I don't think they knew it at that time, they had flights coming in from all over different parts of the world. Flights, big, beautiful airplanes loaded up with migrants flying over the border. So they really did want people to come in. You know, now she says, well, I did a good job, but we're going to do a good job. Why hasn't she done it? You know, my expression with her, you can say every word she utters. Why haven't you done it? She goes, we're going to do this and we're going to do that. She's there for almost 4 years. And I just keep saying, why? I did it during the debate. I killed her in the debate, but I have crooked people. What they do, I had 3-on-1. I didn't even mind that. I still won by a lot. But why? I asked the question. And that David Muir, how about him? I said, how about that guy? Pretty boy. You know, we call him Pretty Boy. That's about it. That's about all. But you know what? I said, crime is at a level like we've never seen. It's rampant. It's rising. Okay. He interrupts me. I'm sorry, sir. Crime in this country has gone down. I said, you know, without looking at numbers, is there anybody in this room that think that crime has gone down? It's gone through the roof. And largely because of migrant crime. It's not only that. You know, in New York, you can't walk into a drugstore now. It's like you're in a prison of glass. If you want to buy aspirin, you have to wait 45 minutes for a clerk to come up and open because what's gone on. And every drugstore, I just lost one. I had a nice tenant. I just lost a tenant. I had a beautiful tenant at 40 Wall Street. I just lost a tenant. He opened, they opened a big chain drugstore. Big, beautiful chain. They opened. They were doing such great business. 40 Wall Street, right across from the stock exchange. They gave me notice. They said, we're going to have to close because the shelves, the people walk in, they just take everything they want. They walk out of the store. What the hell is going on? See, we have to let the police do their job. And if they have to be extraordinarily rough. And you know, the funny thing with all of that stuff, look at the department stores, same thing. They walk into you see these guys walking out with air conditioners, with refrigerators on their back, the craziest thing. And the police aren't allowed to do their job. They're told, if you do anything, you're going to lose your pension, you're going to lose your family, your house, your car. The police want to do it. The Border Patrol wants to do it. Border Patrol, they're incredible. They want to do it. They're not allowed to do it because the liberal left won't let them do it. The liberal left wants to destroy them, and they want to destroy our country. You know, if you had one day, like one real rough, nasty day with the drugstores as an example, where when they start walking out with, you know, she created something in San Francisco, $950 you're allowed to steal. Anything above that, you will be prosecuted. Well, it works out that the $950 is a misnomer because you can steal whatever you want, you can go way above. But you'd see, originally you saw kids walk in with calculators. They were calculating. They didn't want to go over the $950. They're standing with calculators, adding it up. You know, these are smart people. They're not so stupid, but they have to be taught. Now, if you had one really violent day, like a guy like Mike Kelly, put him in charge. Congressman Kelly, put him in charge for one day. Mike, would you say, he's right here. He's a great congressman. Would you say, Mike, that if you were in charge, you would say, oh, please, don't touch them. Don't touch them. Let them rob your store. Let all these stores go out of business, right? They don't pay rent. The city doesn't have money. It's a chain of events. It's so bad. One rough hour, and I mean real rough, the word will get out and it will end immediately. End immediately. You know, it'll end immediately. Crooked Joe Biden became mentally impaired, sad. But lying Kamala Harris, honestly, I believe she was born that way. There's something wrong with Kamala. And I just don't know what it is, but there is definitely something missing. And you know what? Everybody knows it.
Of safety and security, especially at our border.
Who really is Kamala Harris? She's been telling us her entire career.
I support our sanctuary law.
The illegal immigrant deported multiple times who stands accused of killing Kate Steinle.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
Also have the courage to reject that term illegal alien.
Are you aware that there's a perception? Are you aware that there's a perception?
That puts ICE in the same category as the KKK. Is that what you're asking me?
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that a position that you agree with?
We need to probably think about starting from scratch.
We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
I'm opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
Would you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one.
How come she hasn't applied consequences in the last 3.5 years? 10 million illegal encounters, 2 million gotaways, 600% increase in sex trafficking, more terrorists coming across the border, a record number of people off the terrorist watch list, and over 250,000 Americans dead to fentanyl that comes across the border. Consequences, there ought to be consequences for her failure.
We have a secure border. The border is secure.
Sickening new details about the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. The 22-year-old was beaten to death with a mystery object.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't.
Kamala Harris. Do you trust her to stop the invasion?
Thank you very much. And honestly, we could give you clips like that all day long. This is not your president. This president would destroy our country worse than Biden. He's the worst president in history. She would be worse. Every day, Kamala is using migrant flights in her phone app. Think of this. They're using a phone app where the migrants are allowed to phone them in so they find out how, but it's really, you know who really uses it? The cartels use it. The cartels use it because they pay off everybody. Our crooked people, they pay them off. They have a phone app. Where's the best place to drop the people? But they want to flood up Pennsylvania in particular, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, and the entire Midwest with thousands of migrants from the most dangerous countries on earth, destroying the character of small towns and leaving local communities in anguish and in despair. Pennsylvania is not going to take it anymore. I don't think you're going to take it anymore. I don't think so. Towns and leaving local communities in anguish and in despair. Pennsylvania is not going to take it anymore. I don't think you're going to take it anymore. I don't think so. As just an example, the beautiful 4,000-person town of Charleroi. Do you know Charleroi, Pennsylvania? Yes. Beautiful. It was beautiful. Lots of luck, Charleroi. I love you very much. But you get in, Charleroi will be beautiful again. But right now, it's not so good. It's seen a 2,000% increase in the population of illegal immigrants under the border czar Harris. So its population, this is a little town. No crime, no problem, nice place to live. No problems. It just had a 2,000% increase in population with people just like we're showing you today. Our country is being turned into a dumping ground for the world. We have no choice. The people that Kamala Harris has illegally imported have to go back to places from which they came. They have to go back. They have to go back. In August, an illegal alien who Kamala Harris released into our country despite the fact that he was a convicted murderer and sex offender. Other than that, he was quite a nice gentleman. He was from El Salvador, killed a West Virginia mother of two. Killed her, viciously killed her. Didn't even think it was a bad thing. He didn't even think it was that bad. Only days ago, right here in Pennsylvania, an illegal alien ran over a 23-year-old musician with his car and did it on purpose. And in New York, an illegal alien brutally murdered a woman in front of her children and enjoyed doing it. If Kamala Harris wins this election, she will overwhelm Pennsylvania cities and towns with illegal immigrants and migrants. And Pennsylvania will never, ever be the same. I went to I went to school here. I love this place. I know it. It's so different what's happening to your beautiful place. No, I went to school here, and I loved it. I always loved it. But what's happening is so different. Kamala is so radical, she even wants to legalize fentanyl. She wants fentanyl coming. When one little drop can destroy you, which is pouring across our borders at record levels, at levels that you've never seen before. Fentanyl, how many people? I mean, everybody I know, they have family members that are dying, mostly children. And many of them not even looking for drugs. They have something else where it's something that and it's laced with fentanyl, and they end up dying a vicious death, by the way. You know, I brought something, the snake. Does anybody want to hear it? We don't have to do it if you want to get back. Should we do the snake or not? Should we, David, do it? We got to get that guy in office. Should we do it? Well, it's so apropos, right? Should we do it? 250, anyone see the snake? But it's true. It's just so bad. But it is apropos, isn't it? So for those of you, who has not heard the snake? Who has heard the snake? And they don't care. They want to hear it again. Let's do it. This is about the border, essentially. It was an old song and a little rewording and things, but it was very, very apropos, and I think very good in a lot of ways. Got to learn your lesson. On her way to work one morning, down the path along the lake, a tender-hearted woman saw a poor, half-frozen snake. His pretty colored skin had been all frosted with the dew. Poor thing, she cried, I'll take you in, and I'll take care of you. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She wrapped him up all cozy in a comforter of silk and laid him by her fireside with some honey and some milk. She hurried home from work that night, and soon as she arrived, she found the pretty snake she'd taken in had been revived. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. She touched him to her bosom. You're so beautiful, she cried. But if I hadn't brought you in by now, you truly would have died. She stroked his pretty skin again and kissed and held him tight. But instead of saying, thank you, ma'am, the snake gave her a vicious bite. Take me in, O tender woman, take me in for heaven's sake. Take me in, O tender woman, sighed the vicious snake. I saved you, cried the woman, and you've bitten me, but why? You know your bite is poisonous, and now I'm going to die. Shut up, silly woman, said the reptile with a grin. You knew damn well I was a snake before you took me in. That's what's happening on our border. That's what's happening on our border. I mean, we can get a PhD in whatever it is from the best school in the world. It's not going to be more accurate than that. When you look at that guy up there talking to the judge, I kill you, I kill you, I kill you. Oh, he wanted to kill him. He will. If he gets out, he'll kill him 100%. But you have to know. But this is what we're bringing into our beautiful country, our beautiful USA. This is what we're bringing. But we're bringing them in at levels that nobody's ever seen. And we're doing it by stupid people like Kamala. She's a stupid person. Stupid person. I don't care. I don't care. On day one of my new administration, the invasion ends and the deportations begin. We get them out. Thank you very much. As soon as I take office, I will stop all migrant flights to Pennsylvania and every other state. I will shut down all entries through Kamala's migrant phone app. If you can believe, they have an app. They have a phone app called an app. Can you believe this? I will end immediately catch and release. So I had catch and release too. But you know where I released them? In Mexico. I have catch and release too, but I released them in Mexico. Their catch and release was to catch them, even if they were a criminal. Immediately they release them into our country. I released them into Mexico. I will end all sanctuary cities all over our country immediately. And I will restore Remain in Mexico. It's called Remain in Mexico, and it wasn't easy to get. I had a fight like hell with the Mexican government and the president, a good man, but I had a fight like hell. When I told him I want everybody to stay in Mexico, he laughed at me. He laughed. He said, "What? Why would we do that?" Why? I said, "You're going to do it?" No, you're going to do it. No, but we can't do that. I said, "You're going to do it. And if you don't do it, we're putting this massive tariff on everything you sell into our country, including all the cars you stole. And we'll make an absolute fortune on you, all right?" And he said, "But Donald, it would be my great honor to do everything that you'd like to do. Please don't put those tariffs on me, please. I beg you, don't put the tariffs. I will send in the federal law enforcement to liberate every Pennsylvania town and every town in the United States of America that has been taken over by migrant gangs and thugs and criminal aliens." Another front in Kamala's war on Pennsylvania's way of life is her war on energy. She was always against fossil fuels. She was born that way. You don't change. You know, she just changed because her poll numbers were bad. You don't change. I'm the only guy this happens to. So I have the debate. Biden goes way down. He's down 21 points, I think. I'm leading by 21 points. The election's over. Crazy Nancy Pelosi. She's crazy as a bedbug. Oh, by the way, Visa, right? Did you see? Visa, she owned a lot of Visa. And the Justice Department brought suit against Visa, a vicious, big, a terrible suit. And she sold all of her stock the day before the suit was brought. She owned it for years. She's crooked. And she also knew, you know, we offered her 10,000 soldiers or National Guard, and she knew that. And she actually admitted it on her daughter's documentary. She's a documentarian. I don't think Nancy's too happy about that. She said it was her fault. It was her total responsibility. I couldn't believe the daughter released the tapes, but they weren't really released. They were gotten somehow. Somebody gave them. And she took total responsibility, J6. Nancy Pelosi said she turned down thousands of troops, National Guard. Now, you didn't need thousands. You didn't need 10,000. I offered 10,000 or more because I felt it was going to be a very big day. Everybody was talking about it. But she turned them down. If she would have had 200, 300, 400, January 6th would not have existed as we knew it. Now think of it. And she's right on tape. This is my fault. This is my responsibility. I can't believe this has happened. And then they try and blame me for it. I offered them 10,000 troops, whatever you need, a few days before, because I said, there are going to be a lot of people here. If Kamala is reelected, her Green New scam will obliterate the economy of your Commonwealth. Obliterate it. All stupid stuff. It also caused a lot of inflation between the energy policies and everything else they did, but the crazy spending, Green New scam. It used to be called the Green New Deal. Now we call it. Do you ever notice this was such a big deal, the environmental stuff? I haven't heard the environmental stuff mentioned in 6 months. I was saying the other night, what the hell happened to the environment? David, will you figure this out? David McCormick, everybody vote for him. David, will you figure this out? You know? No, but think about this. I haven't heard, Mike, they don't ever talk about the environment anymore. You know why? Mike is saying, don't talk about it now. No, it's one of the great scams of all time. You know why they don't talk about it? Because people aren't buying it anymore. I don't want to use bad language. My wife said, please don't use bad language. You know who said that? Right. The great son of the legendary Billy Graham, Franklin Graham. He said, sir, you are one of the greatest storytellers I've ever heard, but I listened to your rally the other night. You wrote me a beautiful letter, and your stories would even be better if you didn't use foul language. And I respect Franklin. I love Franklin. Franklin's a great guy. He really, really does a good job. And, you know, I took that letter. I said, gee. And then I said, okay, I won't use certain words. But, you know, when you don't use those certain little key words like bullshit, there's no other word. No, I'm trying to find, it's just, there's no other word. I mean, I don't use really bad words, but like, you know, for emphasis, and so I tried it one time and it wasn't pretty. Instead of that word, I said, and it's not true. And people are looking like, you know, falling asleep. Oh. But when I win, we will get Pennsylvania energy workers fracking, drilling, pumping, and producing like they have never produced before. Lion Kamala vowed to repeatedly ban fracking, and she imposed the natural gas export ban. That was a killer. That is starving your state right now of your wealth and wealth that you deserve. Right now, she imposed a ban on the natural gas. Very bad. People don't even talk about it. Her insane electric vehicle mandate. This is where everybody's going to have an electric car within a very short period of time. But maybe not everybody wants an electric car. And we love Elon. I love Elon. He endorsed me, gave me the strongest endorsement. And his Tesla is great, but he understands this. And he never once, you know, somebody said, does Elon ever speak to you about the electric? I said, never spoke to him about it. He never called me and said, what the hell are you doing here? Because he understands. He's got a great market. It might be 7 or 8%. But they're trying to have everyone 100%. Number one, they're made in China for the most part. They will all be made. The auto workers are now, you saw the Teamsters overwhelmingly supported me. You saw that. And the auto workers are overwhelmingly supporting me. It's pretty amazing. But the insane electric vehicle mandate, they want everybody to have an electric car, but they don't go far. They cost much more. There are a lot of problems, and they don't work well. You know, in Iowa, it was 20 degrees below zero, and I always heard the cars don't work well in the cold. And I had a big night in Iowa. I won that whole primary thing. We won by numbers that nobody's ever seen before. So I remembered very vividly, and I'm driving there, and there are cars all over the road. I said, what the hell is going on? Sir, they're electric cars, and they don't work in cold weather. I said, oh, that sounds like a bad idea. No, there are a lot of problems, but there are a lot of, you know, some people want them. They're great. Other people don't. But you have to have your choice. If you want a gasoline-propelled car, if you want to have a hybrid, you should have it. You should be able to have it. The new thing is hydrogen. They have hydrogen cars. They have one problem. On occasion, it will blow up. And when it blows up, you are not recognizable. No, you're not even recognizable. This is like a massive bomb being dropped. When it blows up, you are no longer, your wife cannot identify you. Let me put it that way. Is this your husband? Does they show you blood? Is this your husband? I really can't tell. No, so that's a problem they're going to have to work out, I think. But they say that's the new up-and-coming thing. So far, I'm not interested. Her insane electric vehicle mandate will decimate Pennsylvania's economy by abolishing gas-powered cars and trucks for American roads and destroying your fossil fuel industry. And there's very few states that benefit like you do from fracking. I mean, it's you have 500,000 jobs. And if she gets it, she's going to just dead it. She's a liar. Remember, again, McDonald's, just put it in your mind. It's so simple. I don't have to go through a long story. She said she worked there. She's a liar. That's why we're calling her LYIN'. And thanks to her Green New scam, your electricity prices are up in Pennsylvania 62% since she took office, and are slated to be increased this year by more than 30%. Congratulations. You know, if and when we win, everyone says, sir, say, if they didn't cheat, I wouldn't even be here today. You know why? I wouldn't have to campaign. I'm here only because they cheat. And they cheat in this state, especially in Philadelphia. And I'll mention a couple of the areas, but for the most part, but Philadelphia is out of control. Detroit is out of control. Atlanta is out of control. Places are out of control. Because if there was no cheating, if God came down from a high and said, I am going to be your vote tabulator for this election, I would leave this podium right now because I wouldn't have to speak. We wouldn't have any problem. We have to have a landslide because they cheat so damn much. We have to have a landslide. Right, Mike? So I never say when I win. We're leading in all the polls. We're leading the state. But I say if and when, because I don't want to be obnoxious and I don't want to be foolish either. But if and when we're leading big, I win, I will cut. Too big to rig, you're right. We want to make it too big to rig. But here's a big promise to Pennsylvania and to the whole country, by the way, because your prices are really high. I mean, for people with all of that power, all of that liquid gold under your feet, you're getting screwed. You're paying high. You're paying one of the highest energy rates, including cars, air conditioners, heating. You're paying one of the highest in the whole country. Perhaps your governor's not doing a very good job. I don't know what the hell's going on. But when you have that kind of energy, you shouldn't be paying the price. But you're one of the highest. But here's a promise I'm making to you. I will cut your energy and electricity prices in half, 50%, 50, within 12 months of taking the oath of office. Within 12 months of taking the oath of office, I will cut your energy prices by 50%, and it's not going to be hard, and I will terminate the natural gas export ban. Can you imagine we have a ban? We have countries that want to pay us. You know, we were energy independent 4 years ago. Now we're not. But more importantly, we were going to be energy dominant. I would have been producing today 3 to 4 times what I was doing 4 years ago. I will repeal the insane electric vehicle mandate, and we will drill, baby, drill. Those two things very early. Drill, baby, drill. Thank you. And earlier this month, I was honored to receive the endorsement, as I said just a little while ago, but I got the endorsement from the rank and file membership of the Teamsters. It was a great honor. You know, I've used in New York. It's a very union town, and I used the Teamsters for years. They were great. They drove the cement trucks where I poured the concrete frames, and I did it for many years. A lot of buildings, built many buildings, many buildings, and Teamsters. And I got along with them great, but I got 60% of the vote. Actually, I think more than that, but 60% of the vote. And some local chapters, we did even better in Pennsylvania. We got 65% of the vote from the Teamsters. Wow, thank you very much. I love the team. Are there any Teamsters? Any Teamsters in the room? Good. Stand up, sir. He's a tough-looking guy. Very good. Good. Thank you. And as a result of this, shocking, to me it's not shocking, but as a result, the national organization, as you know, has refused to endorse the Democrat candidate for president for the first time in decades. I mean, it's been a long time. And I want to thank Teamsters President Sean O'Brien and all of the incredible rank-and-file Teamsters that did this. This was a big shocker. It wasn't shocking to me. I said, how the hell are Teamsters? You know, these are tough people. How the hell are they going to vote for this woman, this terrible person? She's weak in so many ways. Like, you know, she's weak. They're not going to vote for that. I said a long time ago, I actually believe they would have been better if they left crooked Joe Biden in, because I actually think at least he had a base. She has no base. You know, she was the last person. She came in last because when he ran, he got 14 million votes, whatever you want. I'm not a big fan of his. I wouldn't say he's exactly the greatest. Do we agree? Not exactly the greatest. He doesn't have any idea where the hell he is, but I think he's better than she is. And he had a base. You know, he had a little base because of years and years. He made up a lot of it. You know, he said he lived here, he lived there. He said, I used to fly jets too. If pilots came in, I used to fly jets. If truckers came in, I used to drive a truck. The worst of all, though, was when he said, I want to play him in golf. He wants to play me in golf. You ever see him play? Yeah. And Trump. Oh, but I'm a good golfer. No, I'm a good golfer. He said, I want to play him in golf. I'll give him 3 strokes a side. I said, can you believe this? The guy can't play. He never could. By the way, 30, 40 years ago, he couldn't play either. I was also honored to receive the endorsement of the Fraternal Order of Police, representing almost 400,000 police officers. Biggest organization all across our country. And also I got almost every single police, maybe got them all, but I want to say almost because the fake news is back there, so I have to be careful. If I say I got them all and there's like one little group in some place, no, but I got almost every single group of police officers and law enforcement, generally sheriffs, everybody. These are great people, and we got to let them do their job. Also central to Kamala's agenda for economic destruction is her plan to impose the largest individual tax hikes in American history on you, the largest small business tax hike. She wants to get rid of the estate tax provision that I have in my tax, where if you die and you love your children, you can leave your small farm or small business to your kids. If you don't love your children, it doesn't matter. Does anybody here not love their children? Okay, then I've covered 100% of the audience. Well, there are some, but they're sort of embarrassed. They don't want to raise their head. But also, it's wants to impose the largest capital gains tax in history, and even a brand new wealth confiscation tax, or as they call it, unrealized capital gain, where you have to pay a capital gain even if you keep your business or keep whatever it is that you want to keep. You have to go out, get it appraised. And then after you get it appraised, you have to negotiate. This is the craziest thing. That's called the communist tax. That's basically a confiscation. I mean, some people in this room, you're wealthy, but you don't have a lot of cash, and you're no longer wealthy with this one. This one is whack job. But I don't know if it's ever been used. I mean, I've heard about it for years, but it's called unrealized capital gains. It means exactly what it says. They're unrealized, so you can't tax them, which will annihilate the stock market and wipe out the savings of millions and millions of seniors and retirees, and middle-class families will be devastated. Kamala Harris is a tax queen. She's known as the tax queen. She loves taxing people. This is the only election I've ever seen where somebody brags about, we're going to raise your taxes. You know, I've grown up watching politics. I've always liked politics. I've been on the other side, like writing contribution checks. But I've watched, and I've never heard anything like, most politicians, we will cut your taxes. This is constantly, even if they don't do it, by the way. A lot of times they don't. We will cut your taxes. It is our goal to cut your taxes. We're going to cut. Right, Mike? Every politician. Have you ever seen one that doesn't do that? Look at, I have all these great people here, great congressmen. great congressmen, warriors. David, are you going to ever say, we will raise your taxes? No, I don't think so. No, I've never seen it. This is the only group. We are going to raise your taxes. We're going to give you capital gains confiscation. We're going to do things that nobody has ever had to do. Vote for Kamala. Who the hell is going to vote? Open borders, tax increases, regulations at a level that no business will be able to hire you. Kamala is coming for your money. She's coming for your pension. She's coming for your savings. And unless you defeat her in November, this country is going to go to hell. As president, I will keep Kamala's greedy hands out of your pockets, and I will deliver gigantic tax cuts for working families of Pennsylvania. Thank you. And very importantly, this is so important because this is something, and she tried to copy me, that one didn't work out, that she tried. A few months later, she said it, she got slaughtered. We will have no tax on tips. No tax on overtime. And no tax on Social Security benefits for seniors. No tax. No tax. And you know, it's going to lead to great things. A lot of people don't give. I know a lot about overtime. I'd hated to give overtime. I hated it. I'd get other people, I shouldn't say this, but I'd get other people in, I wouldn't pay. I hated. This is going to lead to a lot more. I think it's going to be economically positive, but I'm not even doing it for that reason. I'm doing it because like the no tax on overtime, it's something so good, but no tax for the seniors. Do we have any seniors here? I hate to admit it. I'm a senior. They'll say, he's got a conflict of interest. He's giving this to himself. Watch. I'll end up in front of a grand jury tomorrow. Donald Trump has suggested no tax on Social Security benefits. And he's got a conflict of interest. We're putting him before a grand jury because I've seen more grand juries than Alphonse Capone. And he averaged about killing one person a week. Alphonse, the meanest of them all. I know more about grand juries than Alphonse ever even thought about. My father's looking down on my mother. They're great people. They say, can you believe my son did this? Can you believe that my son would run for politics and be treated this way? But you know what? And we're doing great. We won the big case in Florida. We're winning them all. I'll tell you what, did you see? We won the big case. That was the big one. They're going to get him in Florida. They're going to get him in Florida. It was always, that seemed to be the documents case. I had every right to have him, called the Presidential Records Act. That's what they passed it for. But he didn't have that act because he wasn't president. And he got out. You know how he got out? And I don't want to talk about him too much because she's running. Maybe he'll go back. If she does really badly, they'll probably put him back. Let's rechange. But think of this. So they got him out. They said, he's guilty of what he did, but he's grossly incompetent, which she never told us, by the way. That's putting our country at risk. She should have told us. But he's incompetent, so nobody like this should be able to go to court. So think of it. He can't go to court, but he can run the United States of America. There's something wrong with that, right? There's something wrong with that. But the big case was a documents case in Florida. And we had a brilliant judge who was somebody that understood this whole thing. And I won the case in its entirety. And they go like, that was the big one. The big one was that we're going to get him in Florida. We're going to get that documents case. No, these are very crooked people. These people have weaponized the justice system, and we're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. It's a shame, but that's what it's been. Just makes your job more difficult. But it's all what we fight and the resolve that we have. It's the big reason why we're leading in Pennsylvania. And the Emerson poll just came out. I just heard 2 seconds ago, actually. We're up in Pennsylvania, Arizona, Wisconsin, Georgia, and they're the only ones they did. Even the New York Times, they're not big fans of mine. I'm not big fans of them, the failing New York Times. The Siena poll, we're up in North Carolina by a lot. And we're up in Georgia by 4, and we're up in Arizona by 5. That's in the New York Times. If they say that, David, that means we're up by... he goes, Uncle Sam said triple. I think you're right. Uncle Sam, please stand up. Look at this guy. Thank you. And by the way, he doesn't work for me. He goes to a lot of these, you know, they say it's the greatest show on earth. It is pretty great, isn't it, though? Isn't it? The people make it great. It's the greatest show on earth. But he does, Uncle Sam, I don't know who he is, but I shook his hand the other day, like at the Nassau Coliseum when we had a big one, but I shook his hand. He's got the strongest hands. He almost broke. I couldn't believe it. I said, Uncle Sam has strong hands. David, I was complaining the whole night. I said, I'm never shaking that guy's hand again. Have you known that? You have strong hands. He said, thank you, sir, very much. And I felt that cracking feeling, right? Now, you're a strong guy, right? Strong hands. What did you do for a living?
I want to go to your inauguration.
Okay. That's a roofer. Good. I can see it. Good. I'll bet you're a good one, too. Thank you. Thank you, Uncle Sam. You know, when she gets a little, she doesn't get a crowd, but when she gets a little crowd, they have buses coming in. So we take pictures of the buses, we give them to the fake news, they never report it, you know? But they have the bus people, and then they only show the first 3 or 4 rows. But we don't, like Uncle Sam, I mean, I don't pay anybody to come. We don't do any of that stuff. We have the most incredible group of people all over the country. No, I mean, if you were up in Wisconsin, you would have seen something that actually was incredible. But we're winning in Pennsylvania, and the main thing that we have to do is we have to get out the vote. We have to get out the vote, because if we lose this election, we are going to have a problem with this country, the likes of which I think no country has ever faced before. Here in Pennsylvania, you also need to vote for your next senator, and he's a great guy. I've known him for a long time. He's a winner in the military. He's a winner in life. He's got a fantastic wife and family, and I'm telling you, he's a warrior. He was a warrior in the military. He then goes into private practice, and he made a lot of money. He ran one of the biggest firms, and did really great, respected so much beyond this, and he just wanted to do something, I would say, for the country and for Pennsylvania, because, you know, Pennsylvania to the country, but he loves this country, he loves the Commonwealth. And Dave McCormick, just come up for a second, would you, Dave? Come on up.
All right, thank you, Mr. President, and hello, Erie, how are you? You know, I just wanted to say, Mr. President, thank you for coming back to the Keystone State. This is the place where we're going to retire Joe Biden and Kamala Harris and send you back to the White House, right here in Pennsylvania, right here, this state, right here in Erie. Erie, the bellwether, right here. And this is also where we're going to have the chance to fire a guy named Bob Casey. Bob Casey is weak. He's weak. He's a career politician. He's liberal, and we got to send him packing and bring a Republican majority to the Senate to get the Trump agenda across the finish line. And you know, I'm new to politics, but ever since I can remember, I've had people tell me, this is the most important election of your lifetime. How many times have we heard it? I want to tell you, my friends, this, for our kids, for our grandkids, this is the most important election of our lifetimes, right here. And it's a race. It's a race between strength, a guy who says fight, 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 and weakness, the weakness of Kamala Harris. It's a race between common sense policies and a radical liberal agenda. You don't have to listen to me. This is a woman who said, in her own words, we want to ban fracking. We want to transition energy workers. We want to give amnesty to 10 million illegal immigrants. We want to make sure they have federal benefits. We want to have mandatory buybacks of your guns. We want to defund the police. And how about this? We want to reduce your red meat consumption, right? We need common sense leadership. It's common sense. We need a leader who's going to open up our energy sector, that pure, beautiful natural gas from Pennsylvania right here, President Trump. We need leadership to tame. We got to tame this inflation and help working families with President Trump. We need to bring law and order to our cities, and we need to secure that border and stop these illegal immigrants coming in and bringing crime and fentanyl into Pennsylvania. And most important, our adversaries around the world are testing us. They're challenging us every day. We need peace through strength that we only will get if we get President Trump back in the White House and a majority in the Senate. So I want to tell you all, this is the most important election of your lifetime, but it depends on you. You got to get out there. You got to tell your friends. You got to get them to vote. This is the most important election of your lifetime. Let's go do it. Thank you.
Thank you. Great, Dave. That's great, David. So get out. Dave McCormick, great guy. You got to get him in. He'll be a tremendous asset, tremendous help to you and to everybody. We're also pleased to be joined by a couple of real warriors. Mike Kelly, who I mentioned before. Mike, please stand up. Congressman. This guy he's a great guy. He's been my friend for a long time. I won't say how long because I don't want to have them think we're a little old, because we're not old. Where it counts, we're not old. But I'll tell you, Mike is a tremendous guy, and he's been that for a long time, and he loves your Commonwealth, and he loves it a lot, and he loves our country. So thank you, Mike, for being here. Appreciate it. And another longtime friend, Nick Langworthy, who is a congressman, doing really well. I've known him he was the leader of the party. He was a leader of everything he's done, and you're doing a great job. Thank you very much, Nick. Thank you. And a very popular mayor of Slippery Rock, J.D. Alongo. Thank you, J.D. Thank you. Good job. Good job. And all the other people, we have so many people here. We won't do all, and I apologize, but we got to get back to it, and then we'll get the hell out of here. You go home, watch a football game or something, right? Lion Kamala Harris is the worst vice president acknowledged to be in history. Everyone thought she wouldn't get it, but they wanted to be politically correct, so she gave it to her. And here are the facts. She wants open borders. She cost the typical family $29,000. Think of that because of her inflation policy. And it's going to cost a lot more than that very soon. It's going up by a lot. She was an original creator of Defund the Police. Are there any police officers? She was for Defund the Police. Anybody that wants to defund the police for even 1 week is not worthy of being the president of the United States. And, just to show you, go ahead, put up that video, please.
Kamala Harris's radical ideas keep ending in tragedy. Harris raised money to fund the release of violent criminals like Sean Michael Tillman.
The Minnesota Bail Fund, promoted by Kamala Harris, recently helped secure the release of a repeat felon who just got charged with murder. Sean Michael Tillman shot and killed a passenger on a train platform after reportedly being released from jail 3 weeks prior.
Harris's liberal ideas get people killed.
I'm Donald J. Trump, and I approve this message.
So we're trying to show you, and we're working hard because a lot of people don't know her. She's a disaster. You can't have her. Kamala Harris vowed to abolish ICE, and she supports free health care for illegal aliens. She wants mass amnesty and citizenship for everyone. All of these people, even if they're criminals, they're looking for amnesty, and they want to become citizens of our country. Those countries threw them all out. She says we must not utter the words illegal alien, radical, Islamic terrorist. Remember, I used to use that word all the time because we had a problem. We didn't have one terror attack during my 4 years because they knew they couldn't do it. But maybe worst of all, she lost more than, this is not even possible to believe, 325,000 migrant children are missing, many of whom have been trafficked and raped. As California Attorney General, she lost them all. And she redefined child sex trafficking, assault with a deadly weapon, and rape of an unconscious person as totally nonviolent crimes. No, this is a radical left lunatic we're dealing with. By the way, if she wins, it's not going to be so pleasant for me, but I don't care. I really don't care. We have a job to do. You can't let her win. You can't. Because they're unpleasant. They're unpleasant anyway. They're crooked people. They're crooked people. She praised the idea of a 70 to 80% tax rate. That's great. Thank you. Thank you very much. You know, they have the best seat in the house, actually. They only see the back, but the cameras, all those cameras are on them. And every once in a while, a star emerges. Like, how about the stars that emerged in Butler? Those people behind me, so many stars emerged. They were behind me, and they didn't run. They weren't running, right? Mike is doing a fantastic job, by the way, on that. Thank you. Mike Kelly, what a fantastic job he's doing. He gets it. But, you know, amazing, they had just for a second, so they have these crowd control experts, and they were explaining, when one bullet is fired, big stadiums will run out. They call it a stampede, and many people oftentimes are killed. Many bullets were fired. They were going over my head. We lost Corey, the great firefighter, one great guy. And two other people were supposed to die, but the doctors up there were phenomenal, and they saved their lives. We worked with them. But, I mean, what happened was incredible. But the guy comes in, he says, I've never seen anything like this. All those bullets were flying, and you didn't see the crowd out here. It was massive. It was as big a crowd as you'll ever see. I think as big a crowd as you'll ever see. And by the way, we're going back to Butler. You're going to be there. We're going back. That's a big deal. We have a lot of people coming, and I really believe that will be the safest place on earth. And also, I think I'll start the speech by saying, as I was saying, but the crowd control expert said, I've never seen, because they studied, they couldn't see the people here because the camera was here, and we had many cameras, and it was, it was amazing. The whole thing was horrible. But they had the people in the back. Nobody ran. Not one. You probably had like 150 people back there. The big crowd was here, but those people were like locked on television because that's the way the cameras are facing. I mean, the one guy behind me, right? Did you see him? He's up. He was looking to fight. His name is Tom. And I got to meet him. But he was a brave guy. And is he here? He was brave. That's not the one I was talking about, by the way. It's not the one but he was a brave guy too. But everybody up there, they were amazing. I mean, they were amazing. So they had my back. They saw that we were in trouble. Something bad happened. And normally everybody would flee. Nobody, not one male, female, nobody. They just, you could see the anger on their face. They didn't know exactly. They just knew that your president was in big trouble because they saw that happening, and they didn't flee. And they didn't. And can I tell you, these people didn't flee either. There were so many people, tens of thousands of people. They didn't flee. They stood, they watched, and they wanted to know what could they do to help. The people in the front row Joes were there. Some of the front row Joes were there. You were there. And it was amazing. You stood, I watched you. You didn't move. Mr. Wall, I call him Mr. Wall because you can't go wrong. But Mr. Wall stood there. He didn't move, and she was like a piece of, and bullets are flying all over the place. And it was an amazing thing to see, frankly. It was real bravery. Rarely, the crowd control person, a real pro, he said he's never seen anything like it. The people, and what they did, a lot of them, were just, the one guy, he just wants to find out. The bullets are going back and forth, a lot of shots. And it was amazing. So we're going to go back to Butler next week, right? Next week. Good. Going to be a lot of people. And I want to thank the town. They were great. They want to do it. You know, it's become a big tourist site. Can you believe this? It's become a tremendous, cars are riding by there, taking pictures. It's become an amazing tourist site. So, but we're going to be back there, and it's going to be, we're going to celebrate Corey, the firefighter who died, and really the two men that were so badly hurt. And they're better. Those doctors were amazing. The doctors actually saved the two guys. They're great guys, big Trumpers, and Corey was a big Trumper. He just wanted to make America great again. But the two gentlemen, I said, how many people are going to, because it was wall-to-wall people. So when you hear the bullets, you know they're not landing on the ground. There was no ground to land on. There was only people. And they said, 3 are probably dead, sir. And 2 of them were very badly hurt. They were brought to the hospital. And these doctors were unbelievable, what the job they did. And so we appreciate the doctors, and we'll celebrate all 3. And Corey in particular, we're going to celebrate. The other 2 are making a lot of progress. They're going to be in good shape very shortly. So, And by the way, I want to thank, while he's here, Mike Kelly. You're the head of the commission. And nobody's going to fool him. There's not going to be any fooling around, right, Mike? But Mike Kelly is the head of the commission, and he's the perfect guy to have. And you've been doing I've been watching. It's been amazing what's happening, and very bipartisan. Even the Democrats are agreeing you can't let things like this happen. And, you know, Joe Biden ought to get up and say, you're threatening a candidate, a former president and a candidate. And if you do anything to him, it's okay. Look, it's a very dangerous business. But Biden ought to say, you do anything to him, we're going to blow you off the face of the earth. And then we're not going to have any problems. Right? But he can't say that. Other presidents would say that. He just can't probably get the words out. But I'll tell you what, if it were reversed, if I were president and somebody was threatening a president, even if I didn't like that person and he was from the opposite party, I would tell the threatening country, you do anything to him, we're going to blow you off the face of the earth. And nothing's going to happen. But we haven't had that happen, have we, Mike? We haven't had that happen, so it makes life a little bit more dangerous, but that's okay. We know what we got into. Kamala pledged to abolish private health care and force everyone onto socialist government-run health care with high taxes and deadly wait times. We've got to wait 6-7 months sometimes. And she even endorsed free sex changes for illegal aliens in detention at taxpayer expense. That's why 5 weeks from now, we are going to tell her, Kamala, you've done a horrible job as vice president. You are the worst border czar in the history of the world, not just our country. We have to make a change. Kamala, you are horrible. Kamala, you're fired. You're fired. Get out of here. Get out of here, Kamala. Go back to San Francisco, Kamala, which you destroyed, which, by the way, you destroyed. From the moment we take back the White House from Kamala Harris and Sleepy Joe, I believe we're going to have the 4 greatest years in the history of our country. We're going to put our country back together. It's going to go fast. Starting on day 1, I will seal the border and stop the invasion of migrants into our country, very dangerous migrants. We will carry out the largest deportation operation of criminals in American history. We have no choice. We will end inflation and make America affordable again. We're going to get the prices down. We have to get them down. It's too much. Groceries, cars, everything. We're going to get the prices down. While working Americans catch up, we are going to put a temporary cap on credit card interest rates at 10%. People are being made to pay 25%. Temporary ban. We will become energy independent. You know, we were energy independent 4 years ago. We will become, again, first time ever, we were energy independent. We were going to become energy dominant, but now we will be. We will be energy dominant like no other country has ever been before. Much bigger than Saudi Arabia, much bigger than Russia. You know, we were in 3rd and even 4th place when I took over. When I left, we were in 1st place, ahead of them by a lot. And then bad things started to happen. We will open Anwar again. I got it done. Ronald Reagan couldn't get it done. Nobody could get it done. I got it. It's probably the largest site in the world. Could be bigger than Saudi Arabia. And we will tap the liquid gold that's right under our feet, and we will drill, baby, drill. Drill. We will stop outsourcing and turn the United States into a manufacturing superpower, which we were in the process of doing, and it won't even be hard. Here is the deal that I will be offering to every major company and manufacturer on earth. We will cut your taxes from 21% down to 15% and give you every possible advantage, but only if you make your product here in America and hire American workers for the job. And if you're a foreign country and you don't make your product here, then you will have to pay a tariff, a fairly substantial one, which will go into our treasury, will reduce taxes. But if you send your product into the United States, that will happen. On the other hand, if you want to build your factory in the United States, there will be no taxes, there will be no tariffs, there will be nothing to pay. So if you build your factory or your plant in the United States, there will be no tariff. And therefore, they will all be coming and they'll be building, and you will be getting so many job offers, and a lot of it's going to take place right here in Pennsylvania. We will pass the Trump Reciprocal Trade Act so that if China or any other country charges us a 100 or a 200% tariff, then we will charge them a reciprocal tariff or tax of 100 or 200%, and we will do it immediately. We were in the process of getting that done, and then bad things happened with a thing called an election. I will not let Mexico, which has taken a lot of your business now, or China, or any other country sell cars into the United States to the detriment of our auto workers, because with what they're doing with electric car mandates and everything else, we won't have any auto workers. The auto workers are going to vote overwhelmingly for me. They have a stupid person in charge of the union named Sean Fain. The Teamsters have a brilliant person, but the auto workers have a stupid. He's agreed and wants them to build all electric cars. If you do that, there will be no more auto jobs. They'll all be made in China and other places, and I will not allow U.S. steel to be sold to Japan. We're going to fight that. Right, Mike? And I will always protect Social Security and Medicare with no cuts, so we're not going to be raising ages, and for 4 years I didn't. I will stop the drugs and fentanyl pouring in and killing our kids and killing our families. We will crush violent crime and protect all law enforcement, including Border Patrol, ICE, sheriffs, and Secret Service. We will terminate the Green New Scam and spend the trillions of unspent dollars on roads, bridges, real infrastructure, and paying down debt, not fake infrastructure that's caused massive inflation with no benefit at all. I will settle the war in Ukraine, and I will end the chaos in the Middle East, and I will prevent World War III. Thank you. Thank you, folks. Appreciate it. I got a good, lively group back there, right? They're great. They're great. No, they love our country. They love our country. But we will have, again, peace through strength. We had no wars. For 4 years, we had no wars other than ISIS, which I inherited. And we ended ISIS in 4 weeks. That was the end of ISIS. We ended it 100% of the ISIS caliphate. We have a great military, but not the guys that you see on television that have no clue what's going on. But we have the real military is great. And they showed me that. They really showed me that. It was supposed to take 5 years. We did it in 4 weeks. There's a man. Thank you very much. Look at that guy. Thank you very much. That woman. Thank you very much. And I will support universal school choice, and I believe the Lifeline scholarship bill would be a great start for those students trapped in the worst performing schools in Pennsylvania. A lot of people want to see that happen. I understand it. Right? You know that? Oh, you do know that. Good. It would provide financial assistance to empower parents to take their children out of a failing school and send them to a public, private, religious, or charter school. That's really right for them. It's very, school choice is a very big deal. A lot of people don't know that, but it's a big deal. It'll be great. I'm going to take the Department of Education, close it in Washington, let the states run their own education. Very important. Because we spend more money per pupil than any other nation in the world by far. And yet we're ranked at the bottom of every list. So, you know the expression, what the hell do you have to lose, right? I did that with our great, because they've been so supportive. I've gone up like a rocket ship. But they're being hurt very badly by the people pouring into our country. Our African-American population, I said, well, you're last on crime. You're being devastated with inflation more than anybody else. You have the smallest percentage of home ownership. And I went through a list of 12 things. This was a long time ago, 2015 when I was running, even before. And I was with a group, and I wasn't doing particularly well with them. And I'm going through this whole list of things. I mean, you're last in ownership. You're last in cash and having money in the bank. Last in all these different categories. And I said, vote for me. What the hell do you have to lose? Remember that? What the hell do you have to lose? And my people didn't like it. They said backstage, oh, sir, that was not nice. I said, it is nice. Anyway, I didn't know. I figured maybe I shouldn't have said it. The following day, I went up 12 points, right? 12 points. And today, we're the highest we've ever been with the African-American population. We did things that were really incredible for them and with them. Criminal justice reform, right? Took care of the historically black colleges and universities. I got them long-term financing. They were great. We did a lot. And we're doing great with the black population. Hispanic population is like a rocket ship for us. But we have to protect it because the people coming through Kamala, they're coming through the border and they're taking your jobs. Your job numbers are going way up in terms of your unemployment. Way up. I don't know if anybody's seen black unemployment in the last few months. These people they're coming in illegally and they're taking your jobs. Hispanic also. And next will be unions. They're going to have a big effect on the unions. So you guys better get together and vote for Trump. I'll tell you, it's going to be It's going to be a mess. We will rebuild our cities, including Washington, D.C., making them safe and clean and beautiful again, because our cities are in trouble and our capital is like a murdering pit. We're going to get that cleaned up and we're going to make it safe and beautiful, and people are going to be proud to go back to our capital without being killed. And we will keep the U.S. dollar as the world's reserve currency, because right now, David, it's under siege. And you know we can't lose that. Losing that would be like losing a war. And then we would, in fact, be a third world country. We lose the reserve. But this is how we will end the era of inflation, mayhem, misery. Under Kamala and Crooked Joe, it was just misery. What a miserable few years. I mean, it's just been horrible. And people all over the world, especially the leaders, are laughing at how stupidly our country is run. Remember, we're the party of common sense. And 95% of it is we're conservative and all that. But whether you're conservative, liberal, we're the party of common sense. So important. But we're going to unleash safety, prosperity, and peace for Americans of every race, religion, color, and creed. Together, we will deliver low taxes, low regulation, low energy costs, low interest rates, low inflation, so that everyone can afford things like groceries, a car, and a home, and have money left over. We will stop the invasion, end migrant crime, strengthen our military, build a missile defense shield over our country, keep critical race theory and transgender insanity out of our schools. And we will keep men out of women's sports. Keep them out. We will defend the Second Amendment, protect religious liberty, restore free speech, and we will secure our elections once and for all. Everyone will prosper, every family will thrive, and every day will be filled with opportunity and hope. But for that to happen, we must defeat Lion Kamala Harris, and we must stop her country-destroying liberal agenda. She is a radical left communist, and we cannot have her be the president of our country. We never want that ideology anywhere around, because it doesn't work, and it's been proven 100 times. Remember, early voting is beginning right now. Get going right now. So you must get out and vote. We want a landslide that's too big to rig. We're going to have too big to rig. And on November 5th, we will save our economy. We will rescue our middle class. We will reclaim our sovereignty and restore our borders. We will always put America first. And we will take back our country that we love so much. Together, we will make America powerful again. We will make America wealthy again, healthy again, strong again, proud again, safe again, free again, and we will make America great again. Thank you. God bless. Great. I want to just thank Derek, who is an incredible congressman, so respected in Washington. He's really respected, and I don't know if there's somebody running against him or not. I guess there probably is. Will you make sure he wins, please, okay? Totally respected by everybody. And I'm thrilled to be back in this beautiful state. I love this state. I just gave you the biggest, I gave you, before I left, I gave you the biggest shipbuilding contract in the nation. And a lot of other states are angry at me. You know that, Derek. You know where it is, right?
Yes, we do, sir.
That's a big one. And they're doing a beautiful job, too. But I gave you the biggest, and a lot of states aren't so happy with that. They still remember that. But I just want to really, I appreciate it. These are hard-working, beautiful Americans, and it's something special. But outside, we have thousands and thousands of people. Would anybody love to give up their seat? So we were going to have a thing outside someplace, in an area where we could have held the people. And I would say, what do you think, 40, 50,000 people at least out there. This went almost all the way to the airport. And it looked like when Lindbergh landed in New York. Do you remember that? He had all the way, the Broadway, the way they used to do it. And this looked like it. But thousands and thousands of people. And they all could have had a lot of fun. Instead, now they're probably leaving and walking back home because we have a nice little room that probably holds 1,500, 2,000, maybe less. And outside you have 40, 50,000 people because the administration couldn't give us the Secret Service necessary because they're guarding the Iranian president who's looking to kill Trump. Can you believe it? Now, we could add 30,000 for it. I mean, you see it. It's unusual that you see something like that. Yeah, we'll call in the National Guard. That's a very good. He's a smart guy. Stand up. I want to see what that guy. Very smart. That's a very good idea. They could have done that, come to think. But, you know, I think it's a disgrace. I think it's a disgrace. But nonetheless, 38 days from now, we are going to win Wisconsin. We're going to defeat Kamala Harris. And we are going to make America great again. Thank you for being here. Thank you. Thank you, fellas. That's great. Great job. They're making your jobs much tougher, right? Your jobs, oh, that's nice people looking. Oh, look at the people behind. Are they relatives of yours, Chief? I don't think so. Oh, that's nice. Wonderful. Well, you got a lot of killers in our country. You saw that yesterday. Last night, after 4 straight years of obliterating our border, I watched this show that she put on. 4 years of the most incompetent border anywhere in the world in history. Kamala Harris traveled to the scene. In fact, she stood near where I put up border wall. That was her backdrop. And in one of the most heinous crimes ever committed by any administration in American history, that's what she did by allowing these millions of people, millions and millions of people, to come through our border and make our civilization very unsafe. It's a civilization, very, very unsafe. It's a heritage. Border Czar Harris went to the border to lie in the most shameless and horrible way possible at the very site where she released so much suffering, misery, and death. There's no greater act of disloyalty than to extinguish the sovereignty of your own nation right through your border. No matter what lies she tells, Kamala Harris can never be forgiven for her erasing our border, and she must never be allowed to become president of the United States. She must never be allowed. And Wisconsin, you can't do it. Can't do it. What she's done is a total disqualifier. What she's done, and so much death has already taken place. And we have some people up here, and a friend of mine in particular who suffered greatly because of it. And this has already taken place by the hundreds, but it's going to take place by the tens of thousands, according to explosive data that was just released yesterday by ICE. And they've never released this before. They never talk about deaths and how many. They talk about certain things, but they've never released this kind of information. But it was so bad. Never done, but under Kamala Harris, more than 13,099 convicted murderers. So these are people that have gone through the system. They're convicted. They're in jails for life. Some are getting the death sentence. But instead of that, they've crossed our border. They've been taken out by their countries. And set free into the United States of America, so they're free to kill again. Oh, they'll kill. These are killers. These are killers that, at a level that nobody's ever seen, not even your great law enforcement has ever seen people like this. They got a dose of it, though, recently. They got a dose of it. Their jobs have become a lot tougher. And you remember when they say, no, these are migrants, and these migrants, they don't commit crimes like us. No, they make our criminals look like babies. These are stone-cold killers. They'll walk into your kitchen, they'll cut your throat. Kamala also let in 25,272 illegals convicted for rape, sex offenses, or sexual assault. 62,231 criminal aliens convicted of violent assault. Everything but death happened to the people they assaulted. In total, she let in 425,431 people convicted of, and these are convicted of the worst crimes. They're criminal aliens, along with an additional 222,000 illegals with pending criminal charges. Many of those charges also are murder, which will add on to your 13,000 murderers that were let into the country. That's over 647,572 migrant criminals who Kamala set loose to rape, pillage, thieve, plunder, and kill the people of the United States of America. And they're not going to change. They're only going to get worse. They're only going to get worse. And our law enforcement system, we have the greatest in the world, but our people are told not to do their jobs. You know, we don't want you to do anything. And they come from tough systems. They're going to love our system. Kamala is mentally impaired. If a Republican did what she did, if a Republican did what she did, that Republican would be impeached and removed from office, and rightfully so, for high crimes and misdemeanors. That would be high crimes and misdemeanors. Think of it. 13,099 murderers, convicted of murder, not like convicted of murder. Some of the worst murders you've ever seen. They're all in our country now, every one of them. And I've been saying this for 3 years, and the fake news has been saying, well, you don't know that. Well, now we know it. They've never released a list like this. Not just on this, they've never done it. Over the years, they've never done it. She let in, and that's not even mentioning the rapists, the gang members, the drug dealers, the child predators, and the traffickers in women, mostly women. Joe Biden became mentally impaired. Kamala was born that way. Okay. She was born that way. And if you think about it, only a mentally disabled person could have allowed this to happen to our country. Anybody would know this. And before I knew the numbers, I was saying it for a long time, they're coming in, they're murderers. I said it so much. They're from jails. I say jails and prisons, there's a difference. One's a little stronger than the other, as you understand. They come from mental institutions and insane asylums. How many times have you heard? There's also a difference there. One's a little bit stronger than the others. And they're terrorists. They're terrorists. They're terrorists at the highest level. We have some of the greatest terrorists in the world in our country right now. We have no idea where they are. We have no idea anything about them. They could be in Iowa. They could be in Idaho. They could be here. Because every border is right now running around every state. Every state is a border town. Every state is a border state. They're flying them in by the hundreds of thousands. Can you believe it? Even yesterday when she was talking about how she's going to start getting very tough. Why didn't she do this 4 years ago? And she lies so much. She lies so much. How about she lies? She said Donald Trump ripped the babies out of the crib. I ripped the babies out of a crib. No. And it was actually President Obama that built the cages. Remember when they were saying Donald Trump, and they show a picture of cages, and then I was lucky enough, somebody from Border Patrol said, no, that was in 2014. That was Obama. And then that story went away very rapidly, remember? All of a sudden, the cage story went away when it wasn't me. Now she lies. Well, look, I mean, the simplest lie is that she worked at McDonald's, and she never worked at McDonald's. She worked at McDonald's, and I didn't work there. She didn't work there. But I'm going to go to a McDonald's, I think, over the next 2 weeks. And I'm going to stand over the French fries. She said, I stood over those French fries. She never did. It turned out to be a lie. And when I mention that, they go, oh, he's fallen into a trap. Because but you ever see that? Whenever I criticize, they say, all the stupid people, the anchors back there. No, they say, he fell into a trap, her trap. She can't set a mental trap. There is no. But if she says something wrong, like in the debate, she said something wrong, I question it. She said another thing wrong, I made her look bad. She said another thing. They don't want me to ever question. They said, oh, he fell into a trap. He questioned the fact on Charlottesville, which was totally debunked. On all of these stories that were totally debunked, fake stories, she mentions them. But yesterday, this is one I never heard, that I ripped the baby out of the cribs. No, that might have been Obama and other people, but it wasn't us. We had the safest border in the history of our country, and even a sign that I put down, fortunately. I put that sign down, and I love that sign. I love the graph. You know the graph? The beautiful blue, gold, and red graph. It's my favorite piece of paper, perhaps anywhere in the world. But she's so radical, she even wants to legalize fentanyl right away. Fentanyl will kill you just a little tiny, on the top of a pin, and you're dead. I have so many friends that have lost their children to fentanyl. No, we're going to do something else. We're going to get China that if they send us any fentanyl, I had this deal done with him, but Biden never got it finished. Do you think he lies awake at night thinking about fentanyl and death? No, I had the deal done, and then we had a bad election. We got more votes than anybody that ever ran for office. Think of it, more votes than any sitting president in the history of our country. We lost by just a little bit. Just a little bit. I was told if I got 63 million votes, which is what we got in 2016, we got millions, millions, and millions more votes, more than anybody's ever gotten, more votes than any sitting president has ever gotten, and just by a little bit. No, we got to make sure there's no cheating, and we're working hard on that. We got more lawyers, we got more people watching, and I told them, if we win and when we win, we're going to prosecute people that cheat on this election. And if we can, we'll go back to the last one, too, if we're allowed. But we're going to prosecute people, so at least they know that's going to happen. And I said that because we have to have strong borders. You need two things, strong borders and fair elections. And we have neither, but we're going to do numbers too big to rig, right? Too big to rig. And, there comes a point when they can't cheat. And when you see the lines going back, like even today, lines going back for miles to get in. And this, a lovely building, I don't want to insult anybody, it's a lovely building. But if this building were 20 times larger, it wouldn't be big enough. And why should they do that to all the people that journeyed from all over your great state? When I saw these migrant crime numbers yesterday, first time they'd ever been released. They don't release numbers on murders, but they did. Somebody probably liked me. They said, boy, this is unfair. But they released them. I said, this is the real deal. This is something that's very special. There's nothing as serious as this. Nothing can be as serious as this. Because this gets down to the very fabric of our society, your way of life. I mean, you're going to be looking around over your shoulder all the time. Communities that were safe. This is more important in a way than inflation, which is a disaster in this country. She's destroyed our middle class, our senior citizens. This is more important than anything having to do with the economy. We'll make it better. We'll make the economy. This is something bigger in a sense. because this is the fabric of our country. She's letting in people who are going to walk into your house, break into your door, and they'll do anything they want. They'll do anything they want. These people are animals. She's released people. These people are animals. Now they'll say, oh, that's a terrible thing for him to say. No, no. These people are animals. These are stone cold killers. They're heartless, and they wake up the next morning and they don't even think about what they did the day before. These are real killers. These are real killers. These are the worst. These are people that have been in jail for many years. These are people that killed many people. They took them out of their jails. You know, in Venezuela, their jails are almost empty. All over the world. You know, this isn't just South America. The Congo, their jails are almost empty. The Congo in Africa, they took them out. They bring them into our country. Many, many countries, their jails are almost empty. Some are empty. Some are much less than that. I would do it the same thing. I would have been better than any of them. I would have had everybody out of there. Some of them still have people. They probably couldn't get buses to get them in, right? You know, you need a lot of buses, but they're bringing them into our country at levels never seen before. And your law enforcement over here had, you know, you just had a problem here in this beautiful place we'll talk about. But what they're doing to us, and I saw that. It's also the fact that they're taking all of our black population's jobs and our Hispanic population's jobs. You haven't seen the real job numbers yet. And I said this also 2 years ago. I said, these people that are coming across the border illegally by the millions are taking the jobs of the black population of America and the Hispanic population of America. Have you seen their job numbers recently? They won't release them, I guarantee, until after the election. But you take a look at the black population job numbers, you take a look at the Hispanic population job numbers, and the unions are going to be next. The unions are going to get hit hard by this. They come in illegally, they take everybody's jobs, and you don't know who you're hiring. Our country is being destroyed. This is the worst president and the worst vice president in history. And you got to get out and vote. Isn't this a wonderful and inspiring speech? I got people sitting in the front row, they're going, oh my God. They thought they'd be out there jumping up and down, make America great again. We're going to do that, don't worry. We haven't gotten to that part yet. Now, I'm just saying, this is a dark speech, but we only heard the numbers yesterday for the first time. You know, I took a lot of abuse because they're saying, what does he mean? How dare he say that? Everyone thinks, oh, it's such beautiful people. Everyone's so wonderful coming in. No, no. Stone cold killers, drug dealers, gang members. Every country in the world is taking their worst people, their criminals that are outside of jail, the gangs that hurt people, the drug dealers, which are causing such problems, that get death penalties in a lot of countries, and they don't have the problem with drugs. But they're taking their worst people, they're bringing them into our country by the tens of thousands. And yesterday, for the first time, I saw the numbers. It was reconfirmed. Some of the honest fake news, look at all the fake news back there. But, oh, some of them turn the cameras off when I'm talking about this. No, they turn the cameras. For whatever reason, they don't want people to hear this, you know. Now, we're gonna make them honest. If we don't have an honest press, that's your third leg, by the way. You need an honest press, and we have a very dishonest press. Mostly, I mean, I know some, you know, there's a little sliver that's good. But it's, you're right, right side's good. He said right side. It's true, right side. Now you have some good people back there. But it's true. You have some very good people, but you have mostly horror shows. But small towns in America are terrified of migrants coming in, and even when they haven't yet arrived, they're terrified. They're terrified. And a lot of these people don't want to talk about it because they think it's so bad for the town, but they're going to have to talk because people are being killed. I spoke to people from Iowa, Ohio, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. They're beside themselves, and honestly, I tell you, they're not going to take it much longer. And I guess the easiest way and the best way is on November 5th, you got to vote for Trump, because we're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I love that young voice. Stand up, young voice. What a beautiful person you are. Wow. Thank you very much. We love young people. One of those little things, right? They're so great. That's the future. That's who we're really fighting for when you get right there. That's who, right? We're really fighting for that voice right there. We're fighting. Because we want them to grow up in insanity. This is insanity, what's happening in our country. Who would do what they're doing? Who would do this? Who would allow 435,000 criminals, hardened criminals, 13,000, think of it, murderers, people that murdered people viciously. Some people murdered many people, and they're now in our country. They're not going to change. They're going to get worse, actually. So we're here today in Prairie du Chien. Is that a good?
Yeah.
Good pronunciation. You could have given me a little easier name than that, but I think we got it right.
Got it. Nailed it.
Prairie du Chien. What a beautiful name. And we have to keep it beautiful. And you have great law enforcement here, but they're going through a lot. And we're in Wisconsin, and every person here knows exactly what I'm saying. Just this month, right here in this beautiful town, police arrested an illegal alien member of a savage Venezuelan prison gang known as Tren de Aragua. Tren de Aragua. These are really bad ones. This vile monster was charged with holding a mother and daughter captive against their will and sexually assaulting them again and again and again. This animal crossed Kamala's wide-open border, along with hundreds of thousands of others that are worse than him, He was arrested and released in the sanctuary city of Minneapolis. And by the way, I'm going to end all sanctuary cities immediately upon taking over. Right? Thank you. All of them are ending. And you know, the people of these states with big sanctuary cities, these people are, they want them out. It's only the politicians that want them. Someday we'll explain why. But he assaulted another woman in the sanctuary jurisdiction of Dane County, and he had outstanding warrants for strangulation, all before coming to this small, beautiful, idyllic Wisconsin town. A few months ago in Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. There's a lot of action going on in Wisconsin with these things. You know, usually I have like Clark County, an illegal alien released by Kamala Harris was arrested for tying up and blindfolding a 12-year-old girl in the back of a van and viciously sexually assaulting her. A few weeks ago, yet another illegal alien Kamala let in was charged for sexually assaulting a woman in her home in Wausau, Wisconsin. How do you like that? Wausau. Is that right? Wausau. I like Wausau. No, but think of this. Sexually assaulting, and what he did to her was so horrific that he's now facing up to 100 years in prison. 100 years. These are towns that had these are towns and little beautiful areas of our planet that had no problems. Oh, you're going to have a lot of problems. I don't care how good your law enforcement is, you're going to have a lot of problems. They're all over the place. And I'm telling you what I said before. These towns, these little towns and cities, and by the way, the big cities too. New York, look what's happened in New York. And they went after the mayor of New York because he was saying, we can't do this, we can't do that. They just indicted him for long before he was mayor. But look at what they do. These are vicious monsters in our government that are also stupid people. They're vicious, but they're stupid, which is a very dangerous combination. Today I stand before you to make this promise. I will liberate Wisconsin from this mass migrant invasion of murderers, rapists, hoodlums, drug dealers, thugs, and vicious gang members. We are going to liberate our country. I will liberate our nation. Our nation will be free again if we win this election, and it's going to have to go fast because we're not going to be able to handle it. Our nation will be free again, and it'll be free, and I'm the only one that's going to be able to do it. Nobody else even talks about it. Nobody else even, did you ever notice the way these people, they don't want to talk about it because they think it's bad publicity for their town. It's not. It's bad publicity when people are killed all over the place. They don't want to talk about it. We will not allow these people to invade us, conquer us, and take all of our dignity and pride and everything we have stood for from the very beginning of our lives. You have dignity and pride in this town and this area and this state. And they want to take that dignity and pride. They want to invade. They want to take over your homes. They want to take over your buildings. Look at what they're doing in Colorado, Aurora, Colorado. Venezuela gangs are taking over real estate. They're real estate developers like I was, but they do it with a gun. I did it with bank financing. They do it with a gun. They will save your communities, and we will work with your law enforcement. They're going to save your communities. You got the greatest people on earth, and you got to respect them. And when you have good ones, you got to hug them and kiss them and tell them we love you because they're great. They do so. I am endorsed by every law enforcement group, I think, or just about. I better say just about because they'll find some one little person someplace. I don't really like Trump. Trump lied. No, these are bad people, but virtually everybody. We just had the endorsement of a group of 400,000, the largest law enforcement group, the Fraternal Order. Just got 400,000 people. It was like, they said unanimous. I don't know if it's unanimous, but all the sheriffs all over Florida, all over the country, every sheriff's group, everybody's endorsed us, or if they're not allowed to in some cases, they still state their preference. Border Patrol endorsed me, and Border Patrol is like, it's hard. How do you endorse somebody and you're with this other group, but they can't do it. They're unbelievable patriots. They love the country. They hate to stand there and watch these people pour right by them. They want to do their jobs. They're great people. How on earth did a small town in the Midwest and America come to be so famous as some of these towns? Look at what's happening with some of these towns. They're being talked about all over the world, but in a very horrible way, occupied by members of savage prison gangs from Venezuela. I mean, think of that. How does it? You're talking about areas of the Midwest where they're becoming famous because they're being occupied. And this is hundreds of little cities and little towns. They're petrified. And their law enforcement is petrified. You have a sheriff and a deputy, or you have a small group, and you'll have a group of Venezuelan killers, street gangs, occupying the town with MK-47s. I know that gun very well. I got to know it very well. I've become an expert on guns quickly. My sons know guns. They couldn't believe what the story they heard, the two stories they heard, actually. But I don't care because we're doing it for you. We're going to make our I don't care. I just say we've got to do it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I love that guy right in the front. He looks better than I do, and I think he's probably a little older, right? Look at him. He looks fantastic. 4 years ago, I handed Kamala Harris the most secure border in U.S. history with the lowest illegal immigration on record. In the words of former ICE Director Tom Homan, you know Tom, President Trump was the greatest president in my lifetime by far. This country was never better off than when he was there. He was unprecedented in his success on the border, and it saved so many lives. He got it done. Likewise, the head of the National Border Patrol Council, Art Del Cuello, he's a great, incredible guy. He said of Kamala's visit to the border yesterday, I stood with President Trump when he actually went to the border to areas that are notorious for drug smuggling and human smuggling and are very dangerous. He stood there. He spoke to the agents for a long period of time. He's been speaking to the boots on the ground for 8 years and a lot. He stood there for over an hour in 110-degree temperatures with heat. It was a hot day, I will say, but the heat was crazy. But with families of victims and illegal aliens, and he spoke to reporters. Vice President Harris went down there. She didn't speak to the agents, and as a former president of the National Border Patrol Council, great guy, Brandon Judge said, President Trump's actions secured the border. Kamala Harris's actions completely opened up the border and made it very unsafe. And I just want you to take a look at this little video. We had a video planned, and we're going to use it even though it was supposed to be for 50,000 people. But maybe they have a little television set outside that they're watching it. But you have to take a look at this, please.
I know the importance of safety and security, especially at our border.
Who really is Kamala Harris? She's been telling us her entire career.
I support our sanctuary law.
The illegal immigrant deported multiple times who stands accused of killing Kate Steinle.
An undocumented immigrant is not a criminal.
Also have the courage to reject that term illegal alien.
Are you aware that there's a perception?
Do you know?
Are you aware that there's a
that
perception?
Puts ICE in the same category as the KKK. Is that what you're asking me?
Abolish ICE.
Yeah.
Is that a position that you agree with?
And we need to probably think about starting from scratch. We're not going to treat people who are undocumented across the border as criminals.
I am opposed to any policy that would deny any human being public health, period.
Will you be committing to close immigration detention centers?
Absolutely, on day one.
How can she has applied consequences the last 3.5 years? 10 million illegal encounters, 2 million gotaways, 600% increase in sex trafficking, more terrorists coming across the border, a record number of people off the terrorist watch list, and over 250,000 Americans dead to fentanyl that comes across the border. Consequences, there will be consequences for her failure.
We have a secure border. The border is secure.
Sickening new details about the murder of Georgia nursing student Laken Riley. The 22-year-old was beaten to death with a mystery object.
We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't.
Kamala Harris. Do you trust her to stop the invasion?
She is a disaster. And she's not going to ever do anything for the border. And she didn't even want to get tough now, except her poll numbers were tanking. And by the way, we're leading in the polls. We're doing great. But you got to get out and vote. You know, this can only happen to me. I had to beat Biden. We were 21 points up after the debate. And then I said, oh, I can't believe it. I think they're going to get him out. And then we had to start all over again with this one. She had a little honeymoon period, but people are now finding out she's not a smart person. And she has no idea what the hell she's doing. And she's going to be dealing with the smartest people. President Xi, how do you think President Xi is looking? He's chopping, he's just grabbing his, oh, he's so happy. He's grabbing his people all over the place and watching the same kind of things you just watched, but even better. And we can't have this. Look, we had 4 years of incompetence. We can't have another 4 years of incompetence because we're not going to have a country anymore. She's incompetent and a bad person, but she's incompetent, grossly incompetent. She's a Marxist. You're right. She's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor. Think of it. Defund the police. She started the movement. This is a woman that we cannot allow to have in this. If she gets in, our country is finished. It's finished. Starting on her first day in office, Kamala Harris terminated every Trump policy I used to deliver the strongest and most secure border in the history of our country. We never had a, Tom Homan said it, the best border. They interview people on the border that live in hell on the border. They say it was never like Trump had it. We had a great thing. And then as soon as she came in, she ended up remain in Mexico. That means you couldn't come into our country. She terminated it. You know what it means. Remain in Mexico. It's what it means. Release and canceled. Little things like the Sept Third Agreement, canceled Title 42, halted the removal of virtually all criminal aliens, ended all of our programs that we instituted to stop child trafficking, which is at an all-time record now. She said last night that I told you, ripped babies out of the crib. I ripped babies out of the crib. She's sick, and she's a liar. And the reason I keep mentioning McDonald's, because it was so basic. She worked at McDonald's, and it was a lie. She's a liar. But Kamala, of all things, the worst thing is this. She lost 325,000 migrant children, and they're either dead, being sold into sex slavery, or just plain missing from their parents. They were stolen. 325,000. What Kamala Harris, can you imagine if that were a Republican? Can you imagine? What Kamala Harris has done to our border is a betrayal of every citizen. It's a betrayal of her oath, and it's a betrayal of the American nation. Not only must she be defeated, but in light of this news, Kamala Harris should immediately resign the vice presidency and go home to California in disgrace. She should resign. Under both border czar Harris and sleepy Joe Biden. Where is he, by the way? What the hell? What the hell happened to him? Midwestern states from Pennsylvania to Wisconsin are being overwhelmed through 2 programs she created to deluge towns, just like yours. First, she created a program to fly in migrants from Venezuela, Haiti, and Nicaragua, dumping them into cities and towns all throughout America, right? You know that, right? Remember when she was saying, no, we're thinking, they got a little tougher about 3 months ago on the border, a little bit. But they never stopped the flights because they didn't think, but we caught them about 2 months ago, flying in hundreds of thousands of people over the border. They didn't think we'd catch them. Can you believe it? In addition, she's allowing virtually unlimited numbers of migrants to enter and be released at the press of a button through her phone app for illegal immigrants. They have a phone app so that people can come into our country. These are smart immigrants, I guess, because most people don't have any idea what the hell a phone app is. But they do. These are very intelligent immigrants. But you know who they're really meant for? The cartel people. The people that run the cartels. They can use them brilliantly. They're making billions of dollars, among the most successful people in the world. This is why I get shot at so much. I mean, if you think about it. Only a consequential president gets shot at. Okay? Remember that. In less than 4 years, she relocated almost 5% of the entire population of Haiti to the United States, and the rest are coming in rapidly as they can, as fast as they can come out. And 6% of the populations of Honduras and Nicaragua. And remember this, those governments, they send the people that want to send. And those are the people we're getting. These countries are so dangerous that the U.S. State Department has travel advisories warning Americans not to go there. Yet Kamala is resettling all of those people here, anybody that wants to come. So we have travel warnings, don't go here, don't go there, don't go to the various countries, and yet she's taking in the worst of those people, the killers, the jailbirds, all of the worst of the people, she's taking them in. And then I have to sit there and listen to her bullshit last night. And who puts it on? Fox News. And they shouldn't be allowed to put it on. It's all lies. It's all lies. Everything she said is a lie. But it all stops the moment I raise my hand and take the oath of office as your 47th President of the United States. It all stops. Thank you very much. Not far from where we are today, in a small, very beautiful town of 15,000, Whitewater. Do you know Whitewater? Right up the road a little bit. Kamala has flooded the town with an estimated 2,000 migrants from Venezuela and Nicaragua. Very tough ones, some very tough people in that group. I know because I get the info. Housing costs have now soared by 25% because the government's buying houses for them. Diseases are spreading like wildfire, all sorts of disease. The police say they cannot handle the surge in crime. The schools can't teach, and they're taking over the schools. And the town itself has plunged heavily into debt. The town's in big trouble. In Springfield, Ohio, 32,000 migrants from Haiti and other countries descended upon this idyllic town of 50,000 people. How would you like to have 50,000 people and now all of a sudden, a short time later, you have 32,000 more? They don't speak the language. They don't have the culture, different culture, whole different culture. Everything's different. But yet 50,000 people with no crime, no problems, only happiness, love. Not anymore. The mayor is a very nice man. I don't know him, but he's a very nice man. And he doesn't want to really talk about it, but he's got to talk about it. He wants to be politically correct, so rather than saying what he should be saying, which is, you're all leaving, you're not coming in, we're not going to take you, we're not going to allow this to happen to our town. Instead of that, he was on television the other day. He said, no, we're trying very hard to get along with everyone. We're looking for interpreters because nobody speaks English. And I believe he actually intends on keeping the people in the town. The town is ruined. It's destroyed. I mean, I am politically correct, but not when it's this important. Your towns, your cities, your country is being destroyed. This is bigger than inflation, which is killing you, all caused by Biden and Harris with their stupid energy policy and all of their spending on the Green New Scam. Billions and trillions on the Green New Scam, on garbage that doesn't do it, that actually brings our country back. They don't think about nuclear missiles from different countries. And by the way, they can't handle them anyway. You'll end up in World War III. But they think about global warming, which is now called climate change, because global warming doesn't work anymore, because it's actually cooling. It worked for a few seasons, but now it's not working. So climate change, a much better term because that covers everything. Warming, cooling, rain, sun, it covers everything. Trillions and trillions of dollars they waste. You know, they want to go to 93 trillion. That's more money than every country in the planet has, and destroyed. Germany went that way for 1 year, and now they're building coal plants all over the place. You know why? Because they were getting destroyed. That's why Angela Merkel is no longer there. Already everybody is talking about leaving the different towns that we're talking about. The majority of the school cannot speak English. In Ohio, Springfield, they can't speak English. They're taking over the schools. There's nobody that can speak English. And the mayor's looking for interpreters. Isn't that wonderful? How can this happen? How can we allow it to happen? If Kamala is reelected, your town and every town just like it all across Wisconsin and all across our country, the heartland, the coast, it doesn't matter, will be transformed into a third world hellhole. That's what's going to happen, 100%. Remember, there's a hat that's made that sells like crazy. Oh, there's a fly. Oh, I wonder where the fly came from. See, 2 years ago, I wouldn't have had a fly up here. You're changing rapidly, but we can't take it any longer. We can't take it any longer. It takes centuries to build up the unique character of the United States of America. Centuries and centuries, goes on forever. Good and bad, it all comes out, and we ended up with a great country. But in 3.5 years, they've really destroyed our country. They've really destroyed it. And we can fix it, but you know what? In 4 years, it's going to be too late. Just like we've seen in London and Paris and Minneapolis and Aurora in Colorado and Springfield, Ohio. But I'll not let it happen here in Wisconsin. I'm not going to let it happen. You're not going to let it happen either. And I will not let it happen to Prairie du Chien. Not going to happen. So I just want to say we're pleased to be joined by so many great people, but one of them, as I said before, is Congressman Derek Van Orden, who lives just a short distance away, where a heinous sex assault that I mentioned before took place. It was terrible. And Derek, I want to thank you very much for being here. You're doing a great job. But they had a hell of a time, right?
Yes, sir.
And this was from an illegal that came in through Kamala. And that won't be the last one. It'll only get worse. It's going to get so bad that it won't be sustainable. We have to get these people out. We got to get them out of here, okay? Got to get them out of here fast. Now, the fake news would say, oh, he's such a mean person. I'm not mean. I'm a good person. I want to take care of. We got to take care of people. We've built this over 250 years. We got to take care of our country. Our country is being destroyed by these people. And you don't even know why. Are they stupid? Are they evil? Do they want us to be destroyed? It's so obvious that it can't work. It can't work. I mean, go and take a look at Springfield. Go and take a look. And the governor's a Republican. He's a nice man. I helped him very much. Without me, he wouldn't have been elected. But he's taken an attitude like, oh, isn't it wonderful? Look, you got to do what you got to do. You got to get these people back where they came from. You have no choice. You're going to lose your culture. You're going to lose your country. You're going to have crime, the likes of which nobody has ever seen before. Now, I'm speaking from common sense. You see, the Republican Party has really become the party of common sense. We need common sense now. I mean, we're not going to have men playing in women's sports. Things, we want to have a border. We want to have a border. We want to have good education. We want to have low taxes. We want to have a strong military. I rebuilt our military. Then they give away a big chunk of it to Afghanistan in the single most embarrassing day in the history of our country. The same idiots are dealing with us now on nuclear weapons in Russia and the problems in the Middle East. We have this whole world is exploding. And you know, one of the toughest, smartest people said very nicely, Viktor Orban, he's the head of a place called Hungary, he said, if you bring Trump back, everything's going to be good. Otherwise, this whole world is going to end up in a big, fat world war. You're going to end up having it. Also with us, Crawford County Sheriff Dale McCulloch. Dale, thank you. Wherever Dale is. Thank you, Dale. Thank you. Good job. Prairie du Chien Police Chief Kyle Teener. Kyle, thank you very much. Thank you, Kyle. Good job. And Wisconsin GOP Chair Brian Chimming. Thank you very much. Where's Brian? Oh, Brian, stand up, Brian. Are we going to win, Brian? Okay, good. Brian's doing a great job. Doing a great job. Thanks, Brian. Good job. What Kamala did not talk about in her lies last night, just lied. Everything was a lie. And I always say, why didn't she do it? You know, she's been here almost 4 years. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Reading off a teleprompter. Isn't it nice to have a president that doesn't need a teleprompter? But I keep asking, I said it in the debate, I said, so why don't you do it? Why don't you just do it? We're going to do this, She's been there for almost 4 years. They didn't do anything except destroy our country. So why don't you do it? Then she says about a bill. It was such a bad bill, this bill that she talks about. You know, it's a fake bill. It was put in by the Democrats with a couple of Republicans that got duped and put before, nobody wanted to vote. She said, I'm the one that talked them out. I wish I had that ability, that I was the one that said, don't vote for it. But I do have a certain say, but I would have never voted for that bill. It was so bad. It would have allowed everybody to become a citizen. It would have allowed at least 2 million people to come into our country, and very rough ones. It was a terrible bill, but they use that as an excuse. The fact is, all she has to do is go back to the White House, wake up Sleepy Joe, it'll be 4 o'clock, so he's gone to bed, and say, Joe, get your ass down here. I'm going to ask you to do me a favor because I'm losing in the election. Sign this piece of paper. What is the piece of paper? It says to the Border Patrol, close the border. 3 words. Like I did. And we want people to come in, but we want them to come in legally. Close the border. Joe, please sign it. Please sign it, Joe. I need help, Joe. I need help. They're killing me on the border. I'm losing on the border. You know, I won in 2016 on the border. It was one of the big things. I mean, I won in a lot of reasons, but I won on the border. I won because I stopped people from coming on and killing our country with trade, or the various countries, mostly known as our friends. Our friends can be the worst on trade. Okay, they kill us more than our enemies, frankly. They sort of come underneath, and all of a sudden you realize, gee, we got taken over. But I did great on that. But I probably won on the border, and I fixed the border. And then in 2020, I couldn't even talk about it. And yet I got millions of more votes in 2020, but I still couldn't talk about it. And my people were saying to me, sir, they don't want to hear about the border because you fixed it. I said, well, I want to talk about it. They don't want to hear it. It's true. Nobody wanted to hear it. Today's border is 20 times worse than it was in 2016. 2016 was like a great day for this border. 2016, I fixed it. I built hundreds of miles of wall. I had another 200 miles, and that's much more than I promised to do, 200 miles ready to go. And when they took over, because of a rigged election, when they took over, they didn't want anything to do with putting those panels up. You couldn't put them up. They were laying right there, right next to it. I don't know if you heard this story. So, you know, they had sections where they even said we have to build a wall. And the panels that we put up were exactly what Border Patrol and ICE wanted. Everything. They even have the anti-climb panel on top, which I hated to look at. But it made it much harder to climb. So I said, well, do I give up the look for the climb? It's called an anti-climb panel, and it's right. It's very hard to get over the top. These guys can do anything. And what happened is they didn't want to put up those. So they went out and bought a totally different panel instead of just putting up, which is nothing by comparison, not nearly as good, not as good in any way. Rather than using the panel that was sitting 10 feet away, they put different panels up. Looks like hell, too. Now you have a wall that doesn't, they say, where the hell did that come from? But they admit, I always said for years, I said, everything gets obsolete fast. Like you have a computer and you think it's great, and then 2 weeks later it's obsolete. You have a new cell phone. I love it. I love it. A week and a half later, they come out with a better one. The only things that don't get obsolete are the wheel and the wall. A wall is never obsolete. But what Kamala did not talk about in her remarks last night were the countless Americans who've been brutally assaulted and killed by illegal aliens, and she let them in. Killed, many, many killed. Just so many people. Already. We think this is the beginning. It's not. This has been going on ever since they took over. Because from the day they took over, they said, we want an open border. And nobody believed them. It wasn't believable. And here today is Patty Morin, whose heartbreaking story is a tragic warning of what will come to every city in America with 4 more years of Kamala Harris. I can't even believe she's being considered. Look, she was considered 8 weeks ago the worst vice president in history, a very dumb person. The fake news was calling her dumb, stupid, didn't have a chance. She was at the bottom of a list of 12 candidates. They voted. She came in last. She fought Joe Biden, Crooked Joe. I call him 2 names. I call him Crooked Joe, Sleepy Joe. I'm not sure. I've never figured out which is better. He said they're both good. I agree. I actually tried them together, but it doesn't work together. I sort of interchange. But think of it. This person, what they've done to our country and what's done to Patty. She lost the most beautiful person, her daughter, you've ever seen. And I've gotten to know her, and none of this would have happened. Just like the war with Ukraine and Russia would have never happened if I was president. No chance, 0 chance. Putin would have never done it. Just like the attack on Israel would have never happened on October 7th. Just like that horror show if you look at Afghanistan, would have never happened. Inflation would have never happened. We would right now be energy dominant instead of looking for energy. You know that our reserves, we have a reserve, and it's really meant for war. It's meant for very important things. Strategic reserves, right? Just reported today they're at the lowest point they've been, maybe ever, but they know in 40 years, because Biden used that to suppress the numbers, because without that, the oil prices for your car, it wasn't supposed to be for your gasoline, in all due respect, and it's peanuts compared to the amount we're talking about. But now we have the lowest strategic oil reserves in the history of our country, we think, or many, many decades. And it's a shame, but Patty's precious daughter, Rachel, was a 37-year-old mom of 5 precious children, a beautiful woman, who lived in Maryland, 1,500 miles from the border. That's a long way from the border. Earlier this year, while Rachel was out on a run, she was brutally raped and murdered by this disgusting illegal alien who was led into the United States by Kamala and her lax law. Every one of my killer, we had the great, he would have never been able to get in. She stopped every single one of them. She was the border czar. Now she doesn't admit that. Whether you call her a czar or not, she was no czar, because she really wasn't a czar. She didn't give a damn about the border. She never spoke to Border Patrol. You ever see the agents? All the top people, they never spoke to Biden or her, and yet it's like the most important thing. But Patty has suffered greatly. I've gotten to know Patty. She's a great woman, and she's lost an amazing person in her family. Her family is suffering tremendously. But I'd like to ask Patty to come up and just say a few words about Rachel. Please, Patty. Thank you very much. Thank you, Patty. Let me take care of this.
Thank you. I'm not a politician, so I'm not here to give you a spiel. I do want to say vote for Trump, though, because I really believe that he's going to close our borders. Rachel was a very fun-loving, down-to-earth, compassionate woman. She worked really hard. She took good care of herself, good care of her children, and she loved people. She had a stammering, stuttering problem, so she was bullied when she was a child. So she really has compassion for other people. She was like the American mom. She took care of her kids. She worked hard. And because of this open border, her life was taken away and her children have been robbed of their mother. And it's just, we can't have it. Another 4 years of Kamala Harris, this story is going to be multiplied by the thousands.
Thank you, Dad.
Thank you.
Just take care of yourself, okay? I'll see you later. So unnecessary. And Patty, we're so sorry for the terrible suffering that you've had to endure. I've had lunch with Patty. We've spoken to the whole family. And I've spoken to many other families, same thing. And it's incredible. It's just incredible that a thing like that could happen. No reason for who has an open border where people they don't have the names of anybody. You know, those 13,000 murderers they don't have any idea where they are, who they are. They don't have the names. We just know they're all out of jails, all convicted of really bad murders. And now they're in our country. And that's a lot of people. In honor of Rachel's life and every other victim of migrant crime, we will win this election. We will secure our border. We will secure that border on day one. I always say, you know, they say, what are the first things you're going to do, or the first two things? I always say, number one, we're closing our border, and number two, we drill, baby, drill. But I put drilling behind the border. A reporter asked me that question last night. What's the first thing? But I mean the first thing. I said, well, there's a couple of things. I said, I want to hear the first thing. I said, you know the first thing? Close the border. The second thing is drill, baby, drill. But I'll do them at the same time. We're going to bring down your cost at a level that you wouldn't believe, because that's what you have to do. We will give you, you know, your electric costs here are the highest in the nation. I think you probably know that. We will bring down your energy costs within the first 12 months of my administration by 50%, and it'll be easy. We have more liquid gold under our feet. We're going to bring down your electric and your air conditioning and your gasoline. We're going to bring down your energy costs by 50% within 12 months of January 20th. So hold me to it. I hope I make it. All right, I hope I make it. You can hold me to it. And that, in turn, is going to bring down everything else. You're going to bring down the cost of food. You're going to bring, because your food costs have gone. You know, the biggest complaint I actually get is groceries. When you talk to the people, they say, I say, what's the biggest problem? Groceries. And it's true. You look at the cost of bacon, the cost of cereal, these things went up at numbers that nobody's ever seen before, because we have an incompetent administration. And I believe she's more incompetent than Joe. I really do. I believe that she's more incompetent than Joe. A president's first duty and sole allegiance is to his own citizens, the citizens of his country, and Kamala's allegiance is to illegal aliens and foreign migrants. That's what it is. And maybe that's a Marxist thing. I don't know. And where is her father? I'd love to speak to him. I'd love to speak to him, because nobody's heard from him. But I would like to speak to him. My heart is loyal only to the American people. I just feel for the American people. And unless I'm elected, it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. Hey, look, you have two people. So you had, let's say, 350 million people. You have no idea how many people you have in this country. You know, normally you say we have no idea how many people. They've lost control. But let's say you have 350 million people. Then you had some people running as Republicans, and a lot of people running as Democrats. She was the first one out. By the way, They had 22 people running as Democrat when they started. And is that the right number, right? 22 people. And she was the first one to quit. She quit the first. She never got to Iowa. And then you had them fade, and you end up with Crooked Joe. And that's okay. I said, this is crazy. He's the one that got the nomination. He got 14 million votes. You know how many she got? Nothing. And everyone said she'll never get the nomination, but they were afraid because they wanted to be politically correct, so they gave it to her. But she was the weakest person on the whole list. But she's got the fake news. They're all fake, and they're behind her. Nobody knows why. I'm sure they don't know why. They do it out of habit. They do it because there's no reason why anybody would be behind her. She's not qualified. She'll do a horrible job. She'll be the worst president. She'll be worse than Joe, which is hard to believe. The happiest president right now is Jimmy Carter because his administration was brilliant compared to the one we have right now. And it's a very nice thing. He's an old guy, but he's the happiest guy in the world because he was brilliant by comparison to these people. They are the worst ever. On day one of my new administration, I'll stop all of the migrant flights into our country. You know, those planes are flying over right now. And they don't count them in the numbers. I don't know if you know. They and the phone app, which are thousands and thousands of, they're not counted in the numbers. That's why they do it, because they don't want to count it. I will end catch and release. I will restore remain in Mexico. I will bring back Title 42. That's the medical. I will send in federal law enforcement to rescue every town that has been taken over by migrant gangs and criminal alien thugs. And by that time, many of your towns in this great state will be in that position. It's happening fast. It's happening fast. And again, the politicians don't like talking because they think it's bad publicity. Worse publicity is to let it happen. The governor of Colorado, he's a Democrat, liberal guy. He's beside, he doesn't know what to do. These Venezuelans have come in, they're taking over big parts of his towns. And he doesn't, and they're armed with weapons that the military doesn't even have. We will seal the border. We will stop the invasion immediately. We will begin the largest deportation operation in the history of our country because we have no choice. No matter what obstacles and dangers are thrown in our path, I will keep on fighting for you and for this country that we all love. That's why I'm doing this. I tell you what, I had a good life before I did this. Nobody was shooting at me. I had a hell of a life. Oh, those locations, those beautiful. I could have been sunbathing on the beach. You have never seen a body so beautiful. Much better than Sleepy Joe. No, but think of it. Here's a guy, he's president. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, he goes to the beach. And then he's got a lot of cameras, you know. And somebody told him he looks good in a bathing suit. And he doesn't know, you know, what's he, 82? It's hard, generally speaking, to look great. But the mind can be good. You know, I know so many people in their 90s that are sharp. He's not one of them. But think, any guy that can lie down and in front of cameras fall asleep, stone cold out, and he's the president of the United States, and it's a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, he's laying on the beach and he's sleeping. I say, how the hell do you fall asleep in front of the fake news media? But see, he can do it. If I did that, I would be. But because they protect him, he can do it. But he's out cold. And in certain ways, I respect it. I wish I had that ability to fall asleep like that. I would love that ability. I'd get a lot more sleep. That would be a good thing. But he goes to sleep, stone cold in front of the media. I never saw anything like it. He's sleeping. I said, what the hell? How do you do that? And you know, honestly, our people don't want to see him at the beach on a Tuesday sleeping. We really don't want to see that. Our American ancestors shed their blood and tears to build this magnificent land, and we are not going to let Kamala Harris and her party of absolute lunatics like Nancy Pelosi. How about Nancy? Did you see this? Crazy Nancy. She's crazy as a bedbug. Listen, crazy Nancy, okay? Visa announces that they're under major investigation. Major. By the Department of Justice. Major. Visa. She owns a lot of Visa stock. And they said Nancy Pelosi, she sold it the day before it was announced. One day. Her and her husband. They sold their stock the day before this was announced. Can you imagine if that were a Republican? I don't think so. Oh, no, it's terrible. It's terrible. No, it's terrible. That they're allowed to do that is terrible. But you're the people of America. You're the soul of America, and you will be trampled over it no longer. We're not going to let this happen. We got to stop it. We got to stop it now. You know, I used to say they're trying to destroy our country. And I always hated the sound of that. Truth is, they have destroyed our country. What they've done, they have destroyed. But we're going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back fast. In this election, we need record turnout from our small towns. We need the heartland of America to stand up and to rescue this nation. We have so many great little towns and cities. You add them all up, and they're big. They're big. That's what I've always had. But they're trying to destroy them. And they're petrified. I told you, they're petrified of what's happening. Even if they haven't gotten the migrants yet, they're all coming. We need the entire Midwest to get out and vote, and early mail-in voting for everywhere. The Midwest has been so powerful for us. This area has been so powerful for us. You've been powerful for us, but Wisconsin... I mean, honestly, any place where there's honest voting has been powerful for us. When you look at California, which, by the way, she destroyed San Francisco. She was the DA. Then she became the Attorney General of California. She destroyed California, along with Gavin Newsom. You know that, Gavin? So I want to ask you to go and vote, and really go vote to save America. I believe this is the most important election in the history of our country. With your support, we will get the border shut. We will send the illegals back. We will repel the invasion immediately. It won't take long. We'll defend our territory, reclaim our sovereignty. We've lost our sovereignty. And restore the allegiance of our government to the people of this country. Together we will make America powerful again. Make America wealthy again. Make America healthy again. Make America strong again. Make America proud again. Make America safe again. And we will make America great again. We are going to make it greater than ever before. So Wisconsin, get out and vote. God bless you all. I'll be back. I'll see you soon. Thank you. Get out and vote.